read a book called Indians of the Americas. I, after reading the book, realized that I knew nothing about the American Indian, and that everything we are taught about the American Indian is wrong. It's inaccurate. And our school books are hopelessly lacking, perhaps criminally lacking, in revealing what our relationship was with the Indian. When we hear, as we've heard throughout all our lives, no matter how old we are, that we are a country that stands for freedom, for rightness, for justice, for everyone, it simply doesn't apply to those who are not white. It just simply doesn't apply. And we were the most rapacious, aggressive, destructive, torturing, monstrous people who swept from one coast to the other, murdering and causing mayhem among the Indians. What we've learned about the Indians has been largely taught to us by Hollywood and by motion pictures. They have educated us. So we naturally believe that when the Indians came, that the wagon circled and the Indians rode around and subjected themselves to terrible fire and died at a ratio of 65 to 1.
Both barrels of a shotgun would always get 2 Indians.
Yeah, and that wasn't the way it was at all. But anyway, Indians have been tragically misrepresented in films and in our history books, in our attitudes, in our reporting. And so we must set about to re-educate ourselves.
Welcome to another episode, actually a special weekend edition of the Nick and CJ Show. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
What's poppin', my friends, my family? We are back. Another RBN Saturday Live with my brother CJ. We get along really well. We didn't need each other. We didn't need each other today. We had the same topic on mind, and that's why our show usually work well together. And right. I usually try to stream on Saturdays. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the activist summit last Saturday. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the Glenn Greenwald interview too. That was extremely fun. We're gonna have Fiorella Isabel. She's joining here soon. I think she either is gonna join Sunday or Tuesday. She's in Moscow, so her time zone is kind of tricky. But I love having the Convo Couch people on at least once every month or so. Especially with the craziness that's going on. Like, do you guys know that I literally just saw that Israel just killed 2 Palestinians yesterday. Yesterday, Israel killed even more Palestinians. Every day there's a new story about someone the Israeli army killed. These are the people that we arm. But the ruling class wants us to mourn the violence against them. The liberal class who supports and sponsors the most violent state in human history is wondering why the populace is prone to violence. The people who believe that the state, the police officers, have the right to kill someone if they mishear or they don't follow a direction from the state. According to the United States Western chauvinists, they believe the cop had the right to kill that person if you mishear anything that they say to you, right? But then liberals will say, oh my God, the violent extremism of the proletariat, of the do you see the violent pageantry as they cheer on bombing and sponsoring ethnic genocides in Africa? We're gonna talk about Ilhan later too. I'll pass to you, CJ.
No, it's all the things you're listing. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Everything you're listing, like we're supposed to, and this is another perfect example. This is another example because what happened with the monarch? We're supposed to fucking mourn Elizabeth, whoever the fuck, get the fuck out of here, Queen Elizabeth, with all the atrocities. But it's the same thing. Nancy Pelosi and what's happening to her, it's the same sort of idea. We're supposed to have pity and sympathy for these people who are literally dropping bombs on people, literally responsible for killing millions of people, literally responsible for our way of life, us not being able to have health care, us not having a living wage, us having all of these diseases of despair. Like, is this serious? That was my reaction when I first.
And this is the coordinated effort by the squad, who has a new role. Well, not new, they always play this role, but now they're more aggressive as being the attack dogs of the Democratic Party that is meant to keep anti-war activists, essentially the outside game, in line. So is Ilhan Omar complaining? Do you guys know that the United States killed 20 Somalians with drone strikes last month? You guys know that? Probably don't. We're the only channel that really cover it. On Black News, that's where you find Black Agenda Report. They reported on this as well. But the United States is bombing Somalia, supporting their violent, unelected, unaccountable regime in Somalia. Is Ilhan complaining about that? Is Ilhan waging war against the Democratic establishment that is waging war to control the political resources of the Horn of Africa? Nope. Ilhan is waging war against anti-war activists. That's her priority. And she's confused, and her supporters are confused why Ilhan to get booed at her own events in her own home state. Her own community knows that she is sellout. That's why she won by a slim margin when that should not even be possible. All the squad mates should have won comfortably, won by skin of their teeth. The progressives got wiped out because people see the politicians for what they are. CJ, anything you want to add? I'm gonna get to the Ilhan receipt. I'm gonna show you guys.
Let me just first give the
do your shout out. Go ahead.
Shout out. Yeah, let me do the shout outs before we get started. Let's like the stream, everybody. We have over 150 people watching with just over 70 likes. Can we push that to 125? Let's get 125 likes. That'll bring some more people into the chat. And then, like we said in the beginning of the stream, this was sort of unannounced. We're at 79 likes, by the way. Let's push to 125. This stream was unannounced, so if you want to make sure you're on top of our live streams and you're always able to see us live, make sure you join us on our Substack so that you get notifications. I think I sent the notification out like a couple hours, hour and a half before, so make sure everybody got the notification. Also, if you're brand new, subscribe to us. We just hit 24,000. We're at 2446 now. Subscribe if you're watching. And back to you, Nick.
Ilhan Omar and the squad is everything that is wrong with politics. Everything. They are the most weaselly. They are the people that turn people away from politics. Ilhan Omar is a woke imperialist. And this you want to know what pissed me off the most, CJ? Because we talk about all the time the role of Democrats and liberals that hijack our language, hijack our struggle to promote imperialism. And we call out the people, we like, instead of calling out people who use that language, call out the woke imperialists. Ilhan Omar is a woke imperialist. She's a woke neocon. She is everything that we despise because she is the mechanism in which white reactionaries can use the word woke as a pejorative. Because if Ilhan doesn't exist, they won't even be able to use woke as a pejorative. They are able to because Ilhan exists, because AOC exists. These people are ops, and they know what they're doing. I explained it with Glenn. Their role is to emasculate, embarrass, and depower the left. Oops, oh, we lost again. They know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, Pramila understands.
Pramila is supposed to suck. The Progressive Caucus is supposed to suck. Their job is to be the fucking clowns that constantly do stupid shit like the letter and withdraw it. It literally does not matter your political ideology. Everyone see that letter as a joke. Everyone is mocking it. Globally, across the Atlantic and Pacific, people will look at the squad as clowns. So their job is to be like, hey guys, we are the left, and then they just act like clowns to depower and emasculate the left. Fucking squad supporters have been embarrassed by AOC and Bernie Sanders every step of the way. Imagine how embarrassed you must be to still be defending AOC and Ilhan. Like I saw, and I showed a few examples, and I explained on here before. I saw like AOC supporters, people who are to our right, the people who still apologize for them. Even they was like, please explain the Ukraine. Come on, they on your back. They on your back, man. They on your back. Come on, you gotta at least say something. Please give us something to work with.
And this is why, Nick, let me interject this part.
Yeah,
this is why the second topic that we're going to be talking about, this is like gold that just fell in their lap with Nancy Pelosi. This is why they jumping on this. They're jumping on the QAnon. They're jumping on those things.
Lord,
back to the coach, back to the red blue game. Go ahead.
And guess who was doing segments? Committing to the Democratic psyop regarding the Pelosi incident. I don't know if you saw it. Ilhan Omar was on MSNBC, gave this cringe interview. AOC
haven't seen that.
AOC sat down with Chris Hayes, was like, oh my God, the threats on our leaders. Shut the fuck up. The NATO Clown Squad, my man, that's what we've been calling them here. The NATO Clown Squad. They are here to embarrass and emasculate and depower the left. So these trip ups that they do, the fact that that AOC is more unpopular than Kamala Harris, that's by design. They want the representative of the left to be dumb and unpopular, right? That is the role of Ilhan Omar, AOC, and Bernie Sanders, to be those embarrassing cucks that does 15 election events for a party that hates his guts. Bernie is the biggest political cuck that we ever seen. Biden was still talking shit about Bernie after the election, like, yeah, I beat the socialists. And Bernie still can't say a goddamn mean thing about him. Still singing his praises like the cuck he is, because he's there to embarrass his supporters, to depower his supporters. You guys see the nihilism among the boutique progressive left? Their head down low, like, guess we gotta vote blue no matter who again. And you see how depowered they are. You see how hopeless they feel in their listen to like a TYT or Majority Report video. They feel so hopeless. Like, oh my God, the red wave is coming. What do we do? Meanwhile, we out here like, let's organize, let's work, the whole activism summit. You guys see how we got political optimism? Because we were detached from the losers on the elected boutique left. But CJ, you want to chime in? I get to receive.
Yeah, I do want to speak on the wokeness.
Yeah, go
because ahead. We're using it. If you notice it, Nick is using it this is a great opportunity to sort of, in a short moment, we're going to do a whole stream on wokeness, but short moment to teach what's happening with the term wokeness, because of people like AOC and the squad who are supposed to be woke. They are left. So they're supposed to be doing things that are left, that is helping the environment, that's helping, that's anti these things, but they're doing the opposite. So what the conservatives and the GOP has thought of is say, oh, they're doing war and calling themselves woke.
Yes.
Those are woke leftists. You see how they're misusing the word, because they're not following in the tradition of being woke. As a leftist, you're supposed to be woke.
Exactly, CJ. You nailed it.
That's how they're misusing it. Go ahead, Nick.
I think this is a good transition to the video, because why do we bring this up? You will see exactly what we fucking talking about when you see this woke imperialist speak. And then she said this, posted about it, and she thought she slayed. She gave this woke imperialist nonsense bullshit speech, and she thought she killed it. Liberals obviously loved it. You can see Ukraine flag Twitter. They was like, "Yeah, Ilhan, she better not thought she was." Oh my God, Ilhan, she wasn't a good. Yes, it's. Oh my God. So let's go to the video. I'll preface this way long enough. There's so much to say about this. I'm gonna get right to the video. Here it is. So I'm gonna do it. You guys know how when I present my stories, I like to go in a certain order for a reason. So let's start with the video.
You are supposed to be a progressive Democrat, anti-war. Anti-war. $80 billion to Ukraine is not anti-war.
We are helping Ukraine defend themselves.
Ukraine is killing its own citizens
Helping people
in the Donbass.
war. We are helping little children like me that have been helped. So unless listen.
They're helping little children like her by funding Nazis in Ukraine and by expanding NATO and supporting the same military industrial complex that's bombing your country. You fucking sellout. You see, this is woke imperialism. You guys see this shit? She using her identity to shield the West escalating World War III while completely erasing the victims of the Azov Battalion, the Romani people, the ethnic Russians who lived in Ukraine. She don't give a fuck about them. This is particularly disgusting. Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
And then when you turn on Fox News, just think of what's happening, Nick. The right is the anti-war party in this narrative here. The right. People are calling people who are protesting against the war, they're not anti-war protesters. And Ilhan is saying, I am, and I voted for funding. You see how shit is just, this is bizarro world, Nick. But this allows the lane for conservatives to be to appeal to the working class. You
know why they do that, CJ? I explained it before. They also do that so they can say that calling for peace is the right-wing position. It's a massive, sophisticated psyop, and this is why I say the United States is the most propagandized country in the world. The reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene gets the permission to speak about the Ukraine war, you guys don't get it twisted. They get permission to speak about these things because they want them to say, "Oh, you are calling out Ukraine aid. You must side with Marjorie Taylor Greene."
Right.
That's the only reason. And then the quote unquote political narrative good guys, the faces of the political theater, if you guys know wrestling terms, faces like the hero. So Bernie's like Bernie and the progressives are supposed to be like in the theater, the heroes. So they go along with the war. So then they're like, oh, the progressive position is supporting Nazis in Ukraine. I see through you motherfuckers. This psyop is obvious to me. You guys not gonna trick me.
Right.
Anyway,
So this is, and this opens the lane. But one second, this opens the lane because I was watching Fox. This is the reason why I'm bringing it up. I was watching Fox, and it's like these people. It so easily opens the lane for them. Because how's Fox covering this, Nick?
Yep.
They're going anti-war protesters is protesting the squad because the squad is this wokeness. Wokeness supports the Ukraine war. Look at the woke leftists. Why do you want to be woke? You see the recuperation of the word. It is happening in front of our faces. Go ahead, Nick, with the video.
I'm gonna start from the beginning because it's not a long video. But you guys see why I wanted to talk about woke imperialism. Ilhan gives them the ammo that they need. And you did a great stream. And you did a good segment talking about how the liberals enable the Christian fascists on the right. This is exactly what we're talking about here. Their woke demagoguery wouldn't work if there wasn't frauds like Ilhan Omar.
Right.
Could anyone really point to RBN and say, "Oh, look at those woke imperialists"? No, that doesn't work. literally the same people who use woke as pejorative will watch RBN. They would never.
Right.
So if we had an entire black left that was like that, they wouldn't even have this. Wouldn't even be a thing.
It would fall flat. It would fall flat. It wouldn't be a thing. Yeah.
So Ilhan is complicit with allowing the right to spread this bullshit narrative. I'm gonna start from the beginning. You guys see her woke imperialism again.
You are supposed to be a progressive Democrat, anti-war. Anti-war. $80 billion to Ukraine is not anti-war.
We are helping Ukraine defend themselves.
Ukraine is killing its own citizens
Helping people
in the Donbass.
War. We are helping little children like me that have been helped. So listen, unless you have not been paying attention to what is happening, there are millions of Ukrainians that have been displaced. There are
The only person not paying attention to what's going on are the neocons like you, Ilhan, who trying to erase the entire history of the war and the Maidan War and the coup in the Ukraine that the CIA and the United States supported in 2014. So she's talking about supporting Ukrainians, but the greatest irony is the only people who are erasing Ukrainians being killed are the people on her side. Even people who advocate for peace. I saw Aaron Mate. He did a stream where he condemned Russian invasion and acknowledged that Russians are killing civilians. But you guys don't do the same. So we would say the Ukrainians kill civilians, the Azerbaijan will kill civilians. Yeah, Russia kills civilians. The only people who are denying war crimes are the people on Ilhan Omar's faction and the Ukrainian flag wavers. Are we clear? Ilhan Omar is a genocide and ethnic cleansing denier. She is denying the Romanis and the ethnic Russians that the Nazis in Ukraine view as Asian filth. That's their ideology, because the Russians, they was like, the Russians was conquered by the Mongols. So they don't have pure European white genes. So they want to purge them from their society. These are things that Azov generals have said. They have given impassioned speeches talking about their ideology and why it's important to fight for this. These are the people that Ilhan Omar is whitewashing, and she is performing ethnic cleansing and genocide denial on the victims of those Nazis. This is as disgusting as it gets in politics. As bad as Marjorie Taylor Greene, as bad as Donald Trump, as bad as anything anyone in politics has done, that's what Ilhan is doing right now. I just want to make that clear. I'll rewind just a little bit and we finish the video.
You have not been paying attention to what is happening. There are millions of Ukrainians that have been displaced. There are piles of bodies that are being found in mass graves. There are little children whose lives are being lost.
By Zelensky.
Here.
Yeah, by Zelensky in the Donbass.
But unless you are someone like me that has been that child, you do not get to tell me what my votes mean and how I get to vote in supporting people.
There's so much identity politics wrapped up in this. There's so much identity politics she played. She went all in. She said, nigga, I'm about to go all in and put all her chips in right there in a matter of 10 seconds, Nick. She said, child, all kind of shit, which makes it worse.
Yes.
Because you're doing this, it makes it worse that you went through that and you're doing this, Ilhan. It doesn't make you better. It makes you worse. And I gave this example yesterday. It'd be like me doing something bad to the Compton people. Yes. It makes it worse that I'm from Compton and I'm doing that. So it doesn't make you better. Go ahead, Nick.
Do you guys think that was off the cuff? Zero.
No.
So Ilhan saw Jamal get called out. The LC being called out was a giant story. So do you guys think that these sellouts didn't have a huddle after that? Oh, nigga, I might be next. Nigga, how are we gonna handle this? Y'all really think they didn't plan this? Ilhan saw Jamal get ate up.
Yeah.
She saw AOC get ate up. So they like, oh shit, this, and then the letter happened. So then after that, they're like, all right, we got to be firm in our stance against Ukraine or for Ukraine. So then they're like, okay, we're going to have a strategy to address protesters that go after us. And what was their go-to? Woke imperialism.
I was just about to say identity politics, man.
Yep.
It is just disgusting. It
so
is just disgusting, man. To see that.
Let me show you guys.
It's so disgusting because her own people don't like her. Yep. Her own people. She's selling out her own people in the Horn of Africa.
She was booed. And Ilhan fucked up because I saw this tweet and I responded with a quote tweet first. Was like, yo, I immediately saw the strategy change. Well, I was like, oh, their new strategy is to engage and go on the offensive. And I was like, holy shit, it's not going to work the way you think it's going to Ilhan, this is not because everyone in the anti-war movement saw that, and they already was commenting on the letter thing. So then this tweet come out, and so everyone was like, "You lost. It's on." Every anti-war voice I saw was going after Ilhan for this insane neocon shit. But and with that said, you see also 20,000 shitlib likes. So they embrace fully Ukraine neocon liberals now. And once again, I told you to give you guys a counterpoint. I'm showing you guys the left criticism. There was a ton of liberals who loved this shit. Ilhan playing identity politics, defending arming Nazis in Ukraine. They was like, yes, Ilhan finally joined the team. So probably a good political move for her because she already lost the
maybe that was her blood in, blood out moment. Maybe that was her blood in, blood out. She finally got put onto the gang, I guess.
Yep. They was like, we finally got her. We finally got her. Well, they had her for a while, but now it's like, this is a good one, Ilhan. We gave you some shit.
You're getting your wings now.
I pulled this one up because this is another example of what you was talking about. The Gray Zone covered what was a pretty big story when it happened at the time. We covered it as well, when Ilhan was booed by her own people, because it was a story that I've been covering for over a year. I talked to people in her district that supported her. That was like, yo, Nick, she lost all the support of her people because of her supporting U.S. regime change in Somalia. That liberals think we are fucking dumb. The establishment think like they see we see you motherfuckers. It's only the white left. It's only the boutique left, the TYT left, the majority report left. They're the only people, the boss left, who still apologize for you fucks. The people you represent, your community, the Palestinians. I had a Palestinian community network. They called out Rashid Tlaib, who's a Palestinian. You had Somalians calling out Ilhan Omar. Everyone calling out LC. We see through you motherfuckers. And this is why you guys what popped up.
You know what popped up in my suggestion? First time I saw a Vosh video, and it was about the AOC, and he was defending it.
And you saw Cal defend AOC. The only people still defend these people are the people with no stakes in the game, are white leftist motherfuckers who are a Captain Save politician, as you put it.
Yes, that's their the new community.
Ilhan community calling her out, Rashida's community calling out, LC being called out by everybody. So it's like the illusion's done, and that's why they really hate, and they lie like Jordan does when they lie about why they dislike the channel. You guys dislike us because we expose your bullshit politics. That's all it is.
Yeah, and let's add some of the other squad members because we want to talk. Oh, actually, you have another receipt for Ilhan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll pass it to you. I'm gonna just
go ahead. Go ahead.
I also have this, which is just show you. Look how many likes this tweet has. I literally, because Ilhan Omar is black, she claims to be a black leftist. You would think, if you're a populist, if you're an activist, that you will want to come on All Black Network, right? So I asked her because in her tweet, she's bragging here. She said, "I never had the pleasure to respond to Russian ridiculous internet disinformation in person before. Thank you for the opportunity." Oh, if you're really thankful, Ilhan, you would come on our show and explain your position. And we are so wrong. And this shit got over 1,600 likes just of me saying you should come on RBN and explain your position. People, that's how much people want to see. And Twitter suppresses, Jimmy talk about this all the time. Twitter suppresses everyone who's not like a blue check shitlib or whatever, or you probably in two-party duopoly bullshit. So to have this response on Ilhan's own timeline,
she saw that shit.
On her, guys, I get 1,000 likes all the time, but on her own timeline to respond and just get 1,600 likes just for me to say you should come on independent media to play your position, because I had a caveat. I talked about this on Colin yesterday when we had our Friday hangout. I said it don't have to be RBN. If you guys salty about that, I would love to see you explain this to anybody. Go on any independent media, you fucking coward. Yeah. Any independent media, and explain why you support Ukraine. I dare you. Doesn't even have to be RBN. Anyone. Go someone nice. I'm not going to say any names. I don't want to seem like I'm dissing them. But go someone nice. Go someone nice. Someone you know is not going to be mean, who's going to just ask you about Ukraine. I promise you won't do it. And she asking like, oh my God, I'm glad I had the opportunity to do this. You see how she posted this? And the response thought she thought she killed it after that woke imperialist bullshit.
I think it's better for them not to reply. I think it's better for them not to reply. Just don't say anything because you look bad. Because just think about how they're pushing back. They're pushing back by saying what you're saying has no value because you aren't actually anti-war. That's their argument. It's not so anything dumb about the funding. It's like it's because you are anti-war, so the things they're saying aren't valid.
Meanwhile, ahead, every single anti-war activist, journalist, and people who are invested in peace was calling her out because we were like, you're not gonna hijack what it means to be anti-war. So I think there was like a call for everyone to come out like, nah, get the fuck out of here. This is Auntie Margaret. We love to call her here. She does amazing work. With the receipts. With the receipts. This Ilhan before even before the Democratic Party raised her in even more on this issue. Because Ro Khanna used to tweet about Ukrainian Nazis. And this is Ilhan. The consequences of flooding Ukraine with billions of dollars in U.S. weapons, likely not limited to just military-specific equipment, but also including small arms plus ammo, are unpredictable and likely disastrous, especially when they're given out to paramilitary groups without accountability. That was sent in March. What changed, Ilhan? You want to know what changed? Your prediction was right. There have been reports from the DHS. There have been reports in Europe internationally that a lot of the weapons, around 25 to 40%, is leaking to the black market. And a lot of these Nazis that are volunteering from Brazil, the United States, gonna come home, bring those weapons back, come back with military training, and then terrorize our communities because you sold us out and gave weapons to fucking fascists. You guys know how crazy this is? These people claim to be anti-violence. They claim to be anti-gun, but you will forever be responsible for flooding the black market with weapons. Do you guys realize how crazy this is? The worst of the worst. Not the best among people. Like, oh my God, they're the best among us. They are the worst in politics, as bad as it gets, because their role is particularly nefarious. I think the last receipt. If you look at here, because I'm pretty much done with receipts, but I'm gonna just show you guys something. If you look at my tweet, I know my timeline particularly is skewed. It's all the anti-war voices, all ratio on her with 1,000+ likes, everywhere. Everyone, the global anti-war movement, look at Ilhan and say, fuck you mean. Our friend show Wyatt Reed, Misty here. And it goes forever.
Ajamu, I saw Ajamu in there.
The quote tweets are even wilder. How many are there? Because I want to look at the replies. Look, 1,300. And it's full of people. Look, Richard Medhurst. Here's Jamu. Let's read his. Rep Omar, your State Department talking points are no longer effective. Your party has been exposed as a pro-war, pro-imperialist servant to big capital and supporter of the doctrine of full spectrum dominance. We talk about this all the time on the show. A wild and criminal commitment to U.S. global hegemony. Everyone getting her. I want to see what Richard said. Richard Metter said, Ilhan Omar has morphed to a real Democrat. She gave Israel $3.8 billion in 2021, $40 billion this year to arm manufacturers because she's super anti-war. Love the shades there, Richard. Withdrew a letter calling for diplomacy on the verge of nuclear war and calls anyone who disagrees a Russian propagandist. Yo, Ilhan, the squad, the boutique left, social Democrats, we see you, bro. We see you. It's over. It's over. The illusion is done. It's over. CJ? Oh, here Mick Wallace. I literally just missed the Mick Wallace.
Yeah, I saw that too, yeah.
Mick Wallace called him out too. Let me show you guys Mick Wallace's tweet. Once again, another example of him. This is not the first one I showed you guys with a few days ago, where Mick was responding to a story about the squad, which I never see. Like I usually never see Claire Mick Wallace and left EU people comment on U.S. leftists.
You know how bad? So word is getting around the world, Nick, that the American left, where the imperialist core is at, these motherfuckers is janky and garbage. So you know how bad you got to be for them in another country to start commenting on the politicians here? That means you're terrible. Yeah, other leftists in other countries are calling you out. You are terrible. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mick at the end of the day is a politician, so he wouldn't call out. And correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've seen of Mick, I never seen him call out Bernie and the squad because
I've never seen.
It seems like they're like, it's not worth it, not worth my time. I'd rather focus on the issues. They're outside my country, it's not worth commenting on. They are so shitty now. They're like, we gotta say something. That's how bad it is. This is the first example I gave you guys of Mick calling him out was him responding to a story. This is the first time I ever seen him directly quote tweet Ilhan.
Yes.
Directly quote, like, I am looking right at you. Mick is looking right out at Ilhan. I'm talking to you. Voting to support the warmongering Democrats to escalate the U.S. NATO proxy war, Ilhan. I'm looking at you. In Ukraine is not an anti-war position, Ilhan. It is a pro-war position. Rich people don't die in war. Do you care how many underprivileged Ukrainians die? Why don't you give peace a chance, Ilhan? I like to think that he's saying her name at the end. I end the segment there. I ended with Mick Wallace.
Well, we're gonna stay on the squad imploding, but we're gonna go stay on the squad imploding, but we're gonna move off of Ilhan because we're gonna kind of briefly now talk about the rest of them. Because what has been happening lately, Nick? Ilhan, protester. Jamal Bowman, protester. AOC, protester. Ayanna Pressley, protester. Pramila Jayapal, letter. Can you think in the time that we've had the squad where there has been a section of time where you've seen so many bad steps, so many bad stories come out about the squad, just one after another? I can't think of a time where literally 4 protests and a letter where you got international leftists even calling them out. So for me,
that's
all
why
of
I said
this,
worse than forced to vote. I'll pass right back to you, CJ, but that's why I said it's worse than forced to vote, because forced to vote was a big moment, but there were a lot of people that was like, I don't know if I want to do that because
not yet,
because a lot of people are they fall for that bullshit too. So forced to vote was a big moment, but it wasn't the moment. I feel like the Ukraine war is literally the moment where it's over. The illusion of the burning squad is over. But go ahead, CJ.
No, I think that's a great point, because like the pandemic did so much to people. It like turned up their political antenna. It did things to make them like try to reach out and understand other things. But anyway, let's get back to these videos. So I want to briefly just show all of the videos and then talk about the broader topic,
do
Nick,
more on climate,
which is the squad is imploding. What are white leftists, what are white media leftists going to do, Nick? The squad is literally making it to where they can't even make content on the squad. Like they can't even do content because it's just one bad thing after another, one disappointment after another. And you saw that Anna Kasparia kind of blew up one time when she got real frustrated. So you're seeing these cracks. Like this psyop of the squad, I think, was meant to go longer, but the shelf life, Nick, it's imploding.
They wasn't expecting the Ukraine war. The Ukraine war really blew this shit up.
Yes.
Another example of this, when we play the video, is everyone going after Jank recently because TYT went hard right on criminal justice. So we're seeing this all happen at the same time, and it's so poetic. Because you see people realizing that TYT, like, oh shit, the fucking Marxists was right about TYT. They are right-wing capitalists that literally had the same criminal justice policies as Ron DeSantis. So now you had Jank and TYT being exposed, with literally everyone calling them out, and now you had the squad and them being called out all at the same time while Arbin is rising. beautiful thing to see, right? But let's play the video.
I love it. So we're going to play this all the way through. We've covered it. It's only a minute long, but we do want to revisit in this segment all of the squad and how they're all kind of contributing to the imploding of this PSYOP.
Do more on climate. We could do more on lowering prescription drug costs. We could do more on gun control. We could do more with regard to the Black agenda. We can do more.
Congressman, you're a hypocrite because you are funding neo-Nazis in Ukraine. They are wearing the Black Sun.
I never looked at his face when he was yelling. Jamal Bowman looks crazy. That nigga looking like, oh my God. I didn't look at his face the last time, every time I watched this video, but look at his eyes. That nigga he's like, oh my Lord.
Like when my mom used to catch me staying up late, that's like the look I was
Yeah, that's the look. That's the look he had. Let's play it.
Hypocrite because you are funding neo-Nazis in Ukraine. They are wearing the Black Sun symbol, the same symbol that the Buffalo shooter used, the same symbol that the person.
To say something?
At this point, he going through his set. You keep the video playing.
Okay.
The vice president in Argentina used.
Thank you so
say you
much.
want to advance the Black cause, but you are funding the same people who kill in the name of white supremacy.
This is the foundation. This is the foundation of our democracy, freedom of speech.
You choose to fund.
Let's let it play.
Stick around and I will have a conversation with you right after the end, but let me get to the conclusion. Stick around. I promise. I got you. The foundation of our democracy is freedom of speech. Freedom of speech.
So the shitlibs in the audience are like, look at Jamal letting this guy talk. Look at him. Thank you, Jamal. That's where we're at, Nick. That's where we're at with this. I'll bring up the next video while you read this.
Thank you.
God, these people.
Thank you for the super chat. When being a sellout goes wrong, I don't know what these motherfuckers thought. And Sabby had a great tweet on, and I responded. Well, we like, you guys really think there's not going to be a reckoning after you guys took millions of dollars from working class people and then just openly betray us like this? You guys think there's not going to be a reckoning? You guys think, oh well, man, they got their hustle. They got their hustle. Nah, we're not gonna let that shit go. How you guys think it was? How you guys think it was gonna go? And the TYT boutique left illusion worked for a very long time. And CJ Savvy, we will all tell you the same shit. That's why we got media, because we noticed that these fucking gatekeepers were giving the left bad fucking advice. Gatekeeping these politicians who don't deserve to be gatekept over. Is that age is over? The age of anti-intellectualism on the left is over. The age of us being okay with neocons and imperialists is over. It's done. But go ahead, CJ.
Right. But they I guess they didn't get the memo. But let me just say this part here. And I said this in a stream earlier. Not this stream, but a previous stream. 220 Democrats, 212 Republicans. Let me read you, Nick, these names. AOC 1, Ayanna Pressley 2, Ilhan Omar 3, Rashida 4, Corey 5, Pramila 6, Jamal 7, Mondaire Jones 8, Rokana 9, Mark Pocan 10. There's a difference of 8 here, and there's 10 of them that I just named. They can decide whatever came out the last 2 years out of the House. They literally, Nick, have control of that. I just named the 10 people. And it's supposedly they got way more in the Progressive Caucus. So there's no need to vote no one in. They don't need no one else. Literally no one else. They can decide what goes on in Washington, D.C., 10 people. And they're choosing not to do that. They are imploding. This jig is up. The jig is up. Like, you could only for so long keep doing this to people before they like, It's Justice Democrat thing, Nick. I don't know about this. I think you're muted. Yeah, you're muted. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's because it's embarrassing. The Bernie supporters and the AOC supporters, they did it and they defend them as long as they really could. The people who are still doing it, no shame. They don't give a fuck. But the people who really defend them did it as long as they possibly can. Now it just makes them look bad. Now you look like a pro. Now you're like you're a Nazi sympathizer. Now it's like you for escalating for war. Now it's like you for sending weapons to Taiwan. Now it's like you for the overall weakness that the squad and Bernie Sanders portrayed. Now people are like, man, now that I say I can't make myself look dumb by defending these motherfuckers now. That's why when
that's
Glenn
probably
was on
why
there,
Nick. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll say my part after that. Go
yeah,
ahead.
that's why when Glenn was on here, he said he's glad that this happened. And
Me
Jenny's
too.
first response to this was, can't wait to see the same people who covered AOC last time when she was protesting. Go ahead and have the audacity to try to defend Ilhan now. Go ahead. I want you to do it. Expose yourself. But go ahead, CJ.
Let's play the video.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because there are a bunch of war hawks.
My bad, go ahead.
You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian.
Love the strategy of the two people in the audience in different places. So you take one out and then the other one starts talking. Love that strategy. So, but let's continue.
Nazis, you're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and deny.
You know, it's people clapping. That's not part of this protest.
Yep.
There's people clapping that didn't come with these two protesters. They're reaching somebody.
Democratic Party, will you do that? Yes or no?
She's not, and we can bring this video down. I just wanted to quickly put into this segment, because I know we're going to clip it, just some of the videos that we have here. And let me just show this last one now of Ayanna Pressley. Now, there's two of Ayanna, so I picked the one that includes Ayanna and the snake, Elizabeth the Snake Warren, and we covered this also, Nick. Let's listen.
Senator, you have got to stop funding a Nazi-infested Ukrainian regime. You are bringing us to the brink of nuclear war. You have got those billions could be used for a lot of good things here in the U.S. Instead of funding Nazis in Ukraine, they're preparing a dirty bomb to detonate and blame on Russia. This is not why we're here. I am here to make sure that billions of lives are saved instead of getting into a nuclear war.
This is why Ilhan had a script.
I will move forward to the
Yes,
That's right. No. Nuclear war. Yes, I'm black and brown too.
My bad, I was in the wrong screen. Go ahead. What were you saying?
This is why, as I said before, Ilhan had a script. Ilhan saw everyone catching these bodies. That's why I'm glad that you showed these videos for this segment. You saw these videos, like, yeah, I'm gonna have.
Hey, anybody catching nobody on my watch? You ain't catching nobody on my watch.
I'm gonna read the super chat. We get back to the video.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for 499. Just the squad's deplorable weakness is making the right look like the anti-war trustworthy option. If there's a Trump Tulsi ticket in 2024, it's over. And they're like, oh my God, we're losing the polls. This is gonna be a red wave. You guys want to know why? Because these dumb motherfuckers was running on January 6th all year, and then when the midterm started to heat up, they was like, make sure you guys turn out and vote blue, because if Republicans win, we won't be able to send the Nazis in Ukraine more money. Nigga said that, and they was like, I guess I'm voting Republican. Then nigga, what the fuck you talking about?
You see how they enable fascism. This is a very important point. When they keep trying to say fascism is rising in the GOP, it's because the Democrats are not providing a distinguishable option. You understand? People are looking at the two parties and they can't distinguish between them except these culture war issues. Do you understand that? So that's very key. But let's continue with the video so we can continue with the segment here.
And I don't want them to die in a nuclear war that my tax money is funding, because the Congress and the Senate are funding Nazis in Ukraine. Do you want a nuclear war? A nuclear war will cancel your debt and your life.
That's such a fire line, by the way.
Yeah, we can
that's
stop
a
it
fire
there.
line. A nuclear war will cancel your debt and your life. Y'all
Yes.
talking about student debt? You're talking about fucking student debt. While the homie you propping up is literally trying to escalate nuclear war, sending arms to Taiwan, arms to Ukraine. The fuck y'all talking about? Go ahead, CJ.
Let's go to the super chat, and then we'll go to some comments and questions.
Yeah, thank you for the $5, Caleb. Ilhan had the script and still got bodied. Yeah. I can't believe she thought that shit was gonna work. Like the way she quote tweeted on Twitter, and the way you they had the coordinated bot army response ready, because you see my algorithm all fucked up. But if you were to look on there on a neutral Twitter account, you see that's why you look on mine, you see all the anti-war voices, because my algorithm that way. But if you log on to a neutral account, you will see a ton of liberals, a ton of Ukraine flags like, hell yeah, Ilhan, tell that Russian sympathizer. Go ahead, I can't show you guys a lot of examples because a lot of them block me. But I'll see.
There's a lot of them block me, and they hate my fucking guts.
They love what Ilhan did. Like at the end of the day, by or not, her response still got 28,000 likes. Take out 75% being fake, because Twitter 75% that shit's fake according to studies. Even 75% of 28,000 is still a lot. Like even if you assume 80% of her likes is fake, then 80% of 16,000. That's a lot of people. Those are the liberal shit libs. Like the people who unironically believe this shit, right? But CJ, you have anything you want to add? I'll pass it to you, and we can get to the Pelosi story after your part.
Yeah, I do, because I do want to read this snippet. Hang on a second here. I'm bringing up the article. Do want to read this snippet here from the World Socialist website. Let me bring it up here to end this segment on The Squad is Imploding. I really don't see them coming back from this. Like the people who are still with them now, they're going to be with them regardless. But all those other people who are kind of still giving them the benefit of the doubt, I don't see how they're going to recover from this. But the Democratic Socialists of America and the interventionists of the pro-imperialist Ukraine resistance. And it is a bunch of articles that talks about the Squad. Let me just type in the Squad and how they're funding war and how they're just doing all these things that you wouldn't think. And they got the 30 Democrat Progressive Caucus open letter. They talk about that one. But the article that I'm looking for, let's see if it's here. Oh, and they talk about the reinforcements. I covered this one, the CIA reinforcements, and how AOC sponsored them or donated money to them. I don't think I'll bring it up. There's literally a bunch of articles if you go to the World Socialist website of just calling out the Squad, calling out Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders, just think of what we're talking about, everybody. The left is the pro-war group. The left. Bernie, AOC, Marianne Williamson is giving this nuance about supporting the Ukraine. Look what's happening. It's just so surreal to me, Nick. But we can end it there with the squad is in Ploding. Did we get any other super chats or?
This last super chat, and then we can go to the Nancy Pelosi main story. Thanks for $5, Jose. Nancy Pelosi is grooming the fraud squad into lying and ignoring its own people to gain power. This is part of their initiation to the machine. Absolutely right. You can see everything they do is coached. They, I told you guys, AOC was just on MSNBC, fear mongering over Nancy Pelosi. I think this is a good transition. And it's super obvious what they're trying to do. And I'm gonna just say this straight out. You guys already know. I was like holding to like tweet about this and talk about this because I'm like, man, I ain't trying to get banned. I ain't trying to get banned. But the ruling class and the shitlibs, they really act surprised that we live in this violent state. That we have people that use political violence, whatever, when that is their modus operandi. How are you guys going to have a state that is essentially a police state that still executes people, murder people if they don't follow directions the correct way, and then pretend that you got moral high ground and you're going to lecture ordinary people? I'm going to get the super chat. Let's read the super chat. And I'm going to pull I'm going to get the Nancy Pelosi story ready. You want to read it? I'm going to get the story ready.
I actually have some videos to start out with, if you don't, unless you want to start with something else for the Nancy story. But I already have it up, so you bring yours up. I'll read this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. It sucks too because I liked Marianne. Now she still has some decent opinions on domestic stuff, but she is to stay far away from anything that has to do with foreign policy. She is to stay far away from that. Thank you for that super chat. Is there any other?
I find the actually want to see if I can find an LC video. I actually want to see if I can find it.
Which one?
The one when she was talking about the Pelosi assault. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you get that one. All right, so let me do a little of the shout outs in between these segments here. Make sure you like this video. We're at 317 likes. We have 500 people watching. Can we please push to 400 likes? That's about 85 more likes. 85 more likes to get us to 400. We have 517 people watching right now. Now, if you're watching and you just got here and you wish you were notified earlier about these live streams, if you join our mailing list, we send out notifications for live streams and clips. I think we notified everybody about an hour and a half before today's live stream. If you're watching this on replay and you wish you watched this on live stream, just join our Substack and we can get you those notifications. Also, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Also, double check if you think you're subscribed because YouTube will unsubscribe you. And now we're gonna go to
I had a video.
Go ahead. You can play the video. Play your video. It's a bunch of videos we're gonna be covering.
Yeah, my bad. I thought I had it saved, so I had to pull it back up. But luckily, it wasn't hard to find because I just posted it. So I'm gonna start the segment this way. Because we just covered Ilhan supporting arming Ukrainian Nazis. The same way the Democratic Party supports funding the police more, a fascist, violent institutions. Look, you guys understand, every day, liberals, when they arm Ukrainian Nazis, they give the blessing for white supremacists and Nazis everywhere to use violence to achieve their political goals. The same way that the Azov Battalion been doing since 2014. The Azov Battalion believes that violence is necessary to achieve the state that they're looking to achieve, the state of the pure Aryan Ukrainian state. That's why they've been violently purging Romanis and ethnic Russians in Ukraine. They believe that violence is the answer. When you guys fund the military more, when you guys fund the police more, that's you guys saying that, yes, We choose violence as an answer. We will put civility politics on you guys, but we will continue to act uncivil whenever you guys do something that we disagree with or we don't like. Look at how they treated Julian Assange. Look at how people justify police killing people because someone will mishear a statement. And they're wondering why, oh my God, why the United States is a violent state. I don't know. I think it's something, there's a great argument to be made that the pathology of a populace can be affected by the overall empire and the way they move, right? So we are the most violent empire that the world has ever seen. We killed, and we have been complicit with countless genocides just in my lifetime. What we did in the Middle East is the biggest crime in humanity. We permanently destabilized the Middle East, permanently destabilized Africa. Now I'm talking about European, the West. So if you build your society based on these crimes, and then you don't even pay them back, you don't even make it better, you don't even provide reparations to the people you violently enslave. You commit a genocide against the indigenous people. And then you guys make a holiday of the guy who committed the genocide against them. And then you guys are like, oh my God, why is this country so violent? I don't know. Maybe because you guys instituted a violent culture. Maybe that has something to do with it. So let me play this clip. Because the reason why I wanted to cover this, because me and CJ were talking about this before, the propaganda around this, and I know you got a few clips as well. I don't think we played
it's terrible.
But there's a lot to talk about this. I watched maybe the first few minutes of this. I didn't watch the whole thing. So that's exactly what we do here. This is AOC. We're talking about AOC, Ilhan Omar, and the squad. They're gone. Like, if you still think they're on your side, they are gone. They are gone. They are gone. AOC got the message from Nancy Pelosi and Democrats. Get your ass on TV and fucking dance for us and fearmonger over Pelosi for us. And another reason why I want to show this, because it also encapsulates the coverage that they've been having on the Paul Pelosi attack. The establishment never allow a tragedy, never allow something bad happens to go to waste. Turn everything to political capital. So you see them blaming the right already, which I'm not going to argue against them on that. But they also, the problem is, as I have as an abolitionist, as a leftist, they're using this attack on Paul Pelosi as a way to rhetoric towards increasing the national security state. They've been bitching forever. They already get gold-plated security, and they've been bitching forever, especially since January 6th. We want more security detail. We want more perks and privileges. So they're using this attack, never let a tragedy go to waste, to advocate for expanding the national security state and increasing their security detail. That's all what it's all about. And watch AOC go along with it like a good little Democrat. So we played just a little bit of it here.
There's a history of voter intimidation and voter discrimination and obstacles to the ballot, especially in African American and Latino communities. And so you've got to view the guy in
terms of homeland security. Parts of
I'll just skip ahead to AOC's part. I don't really care about the other guy. I'm gonna skip to AOC's part.
Political violence can come from all different parts of the political spectrum, while also really having to acknowledge a very central fact that reporting from the FBI and even in terms of homeland security, Jamie and I sit, and he is the chair and I'm the vice chair of the House Oversight Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. And we've held hearings on this, and there is absolutely no doubt that the data shows that the vast majority of incidents of domestic terror come from white nationalism, and that we are really truly facing an environment of fascism. And in the United States of America, this type of intimidation at the polls brings us to Jim Crow. It brings us back and harkens back to a very unique form of American apartheid.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, this mic messing up. Sorry.
There we go.
Can I point this out? The fact that she's following exactly the line of the Democratic Party here. and her objection, she's not going on corporate news to talk about Biden bombing Africa, for example, not the kids in cages. She's talking about the threat to stopping that could prevent you to vote Democrat. You see that? You see what I'm talking about here?
Yes.
She's complaining that they are making it harder to vote Democrat. All their issues stem on that. They are Democratic Party operatives. She don't go on corporate news to call out the warmongering fascism of her party. She go on corporate news to promote the act of voting for Democrats. That is what this whole conversation was about. And now she is fear-mongering over the attack over Nancy Pelosi, quoting the FBI as well, to help build political capital for the Democratic Party to increase the national security state. But sorry, let me continue the video.
Apartheid that is not that long past ago, and we have never fully healed from it. And those wounds threaten to rip right back open if we do not strongly defend democracy in the United States of America.
Yeah, I mean, the plaintiffs in that lawsuit cite the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act, which of course is passed precisely because of voter intimidation, precisely of this type. Now, the judge in that ruling, very sort of fascinatingly, who knocks down it, says it's fine, says, well, there's no example of they're targeting Black or Latino minority voters here, which is true, but it's also like, I don't know if like equal opportunity ballot intimidation passes constitutional muster where like specified ballot intimidation doesn't, which seems to be sort of the ruling here. But it's also like,
I'm gonna get the AOC next, Mark. I can't stand listening to this motherfucker. So I'm gonna hear it for AOC one more time, and then we get to your next video, CJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real, important, material, immediate concerns. And also those concerns are being used to kind of pry people in such a way that they tip the scales towards this political.
And by the way, I just want to mention, because I'm skipping a lot of points, because a lot of this segment is them fear-mongering over people voting, and they're saying that MAGA is going to attack people at the ballot box. They give no examples of that. Guys, you want to know what, as a Black man, I'm more afraid of? I'm more afraid of the police that your party funds. There's a significantly, infinitely better chance of you being pulled over and killed by a cop than you being killed at the poll by a MAGA voter. This whole segment is them saying, oh my God, you're going to have armed MAGA people assaulting people at the polls? Nigga, this is what you focus on? CJ, are you worried about that? Nigga,
no, I was just about to say, man, I wouldn't even notice no white person standing outside no motherfucking building I'm watering for. I wouldn't even notice the motherfucker, to be honest with you.
Nigga,
so this is just, yeah, I'm trying to say, like, maybe you, Chris, and AOC might be afraid of walking to the ballot box with that person. Literally, no working class person is going to be afraid. So stop it. But this is how they gin up the fear to where you feel Democrats are terrible, but I'm going to go ahead and vote for them because look the fuck is going on. That's all these narratives are about, is to create the belief. This is how propaganda works. It's not to say it directly. It's to create the conditions so that you believe any of this nonsense. And that's how they create the conditions. Go ahead, Nick.
You see the propaganda, and I just want to hear from AOC again, and I'll pass it to you, CJ. But I want to put a segment up because you see how they tying the Nancy Pelosi attack with the threat of democracy. It's literally next level propaganda.
Nick, so when this first happened, Nick, when this very first happened, and I was watching the news when they broke in, so I knew right away when it happened to Nancy Pelosi. When this very first happened, that was the very first thing I said to myself. I said, they're going to turn this into a midterm strat. They're going to roll this right into their midterm strategy. And that's exactly, and when it first came out, they weren't on corporate news. They weren't talking about it that way until they start really, they was waiting to hear, wait, is it QAnon? Any QAnon connection? What did he say on his social media? Literally, that's what they were waiting for, Nick. They were waiting for social media confirmation, and then it was like, green light that shit, go. And they ran with it, and they're running right with it, along with the white left reformist media we have. Go ahead, Nick.
So the whole bullshit about the threat of democracy, exactly that bullshit. Our democracy we don't have a democracy. We live in a capitalist dictatorship, for one. So they had nothing for that. They've been pushing January 6th, and they realized no one give a fuck about January 6th. So then, and this segment is all over the place, but they're actually doing a really great job in propaganda because they are taking the Pelosi story and then using that to try to turn people out to vote while fear-mongering over MAGA violence over and then waging war against the market. Like, they were trying to do all this stuff at once to fit this narrative that we somehow going to save democracy. We vote for Democrat because Republicans are uniquely violent. I'm gonna play LC's part one more time because I think like this propaganda in this segment is intense. So I'm gonna play LC's last part and then we get to your next video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Increasingly doesn't believe in democracy.
Well, I mean, I think what's really important and the way that we message about this is talking about the racial realities of our economic issues and the economic realities of racial issues. That these are things are not.
This is some woke imperialist bullshit right here. This is the woke. I told you, they literally are the reason why these right-wing scumbags are able to use she's using woke language to rally people to support a fascist, genocidal, warmongering Democratic Party. Let me rewind it. Look at the word salad that she gives here. What the fuck are you talking about? Let's start this again.
Talking about the racial realities of our economic issues and the economic realities of racial issues. That these are things are not distinct or siloed. If you are a Black American, if you are Black or Latino, in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you were disproportionately targeted for unjust incarceration. Then once that happened, particularly centered on the war on drugs, then once you have that on your record, you cannot access housing in the same way. You cannot get employed in the same way. You have all these structural barriers that really funnel you into being trapped in poverty. When it talks about inflation, when we talk about redline, when we talk about who can get a mortgage and who can't, how it's 10 times harder to be poor in America or to be working class in America, and how that divides.
What is the fucking subject? What is the subject we're talking about again?
And
what is the subject again? What is? I've lost what we're. How do we get to? Oh, you're muted. You're muted again. I don't understand how we got to this place, Nick.
I'm gonna end there because LC bring nothing to the table because she's asked about why it's so important to vote. And she bring all the economics. She's like, well, our economics are tied to racism. But you guys don't understand the struggles of poor people, and this is why we should vote Democrat.
What?
This is what they do. This is what they were designed to do. But I bet you, CJ, because you guys see,
I can bring up another receipt. Yeah,
she going along with the narrative that there's this big threat to democracy, that we can save democracy by voting Democrat, and that somehow we can reach economic and racial liberation by supporting the Democratic Party. And I see someone said she good at distracting people. That's literally what it is. That is a word salad that's designed to distract people.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And then after that, you're like, what the fuck was the original topic?
I'm like, what the hell she's talking about here?
Then let's go to your video. Because that
believe it or not,
that segment was all over the place because they were tying the Pelosi attack together with democracy and with elections, and that's one of the main narratives they've been pushing out on this. Hey, oh my God, there's another example why we should vote because your ruling class is under threat. It's so ridiculous. Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, and of all people, like Nancy Pelosi, like pick somebody a little more sympathetic that for us to have sympathy for, because she's doing insider trading right before our eyes. Like come on, her husband just with the drunk driving, that nigga's gonna get a slap on the wrist. Come on. But Nick, I'm gonna be going through, I think there's two videos, this video and a majority report. Believe it or not, Jimmy Dore, and now RBN is mentioned. Jimmy Dore is mentioned. I think it's Jimmy Dore. I'm getting my videos mixed up. I know Jimmy Dore is mentioned in the majority report as saying the person who went to Nancy's place was influenced by Jimmy Dore. Believe it or not. I know you haven't seen it. I think it's the second one. Yeah, not this one, but the next one, the majority report one.
Yeah, so a couple of other small details in the big point. So it happened at 2:30 in the morning. Guys, this is as scary as it gets. Somebody breaks you into your house at 2:30 in the morning and they wind up smashing your head in with a hammer.
Oh no, the rich oligarch. Jay Gilbert starts out with, oh no, the rich oligarch. This is as scary as it gets. No, nigga, this is as far as scary as it gets. When I see police launching tear gas into crowd, that is as scary as it gets. because we don't know in that crowd who has asthma, who's pregnant. That's scary.
Right.
This is
No,
nothing.
what's scary as it gets is what happened to Breonna Joy, what happened to Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
And I forget the other young man's name, but sleeping in bed, and they're shot. But you see the difference in what's as scary as it gets between the two classes.
That's scary.
It's a disastrous story, and then by the way, there's a weird part of the story where the cops are already there and they saw him attacking Paul Pelosi with the hammer. I kept thinking, like, get in there, let's go. I mean, I don't know how they.
Was another example of the police being there and not helping. Is that what you're talking about, Jake? Go ahead, Nick.
So I'm gonna say what everyone's thinking. The police, the media. Someone is bullshitting this story. Something is rotten. Something is fishy. I heard a corporate media story where they said Paul Pelosi, this old feeble man, was struck in the head with a hammer multiple times. Nigga, what? I'm a martial artist, guys. Take a pumpkin, for example, and tap it with a hammer and see what happens to that pumpkin. Do you guys, if you hit someone with a fucking hammer, that could kill someone. Are you guys serious? I'm gonna say it. This story, there's something rotten about this shit. They said this old man was hit in the head with a hammer multiple times. Guys, people have died because people get hit, they get knocked out, and their head hit the concrete, and they die. It does not take, especially with older people, it does not take that much head trauma to kill someone or permanently disable. This man was hit with a hammer multiple times in the head, according to the stories, and they say he's gonna have a complete recovery. What the fuck?
That's because they have to give the conclusion, because when you see him in public and he looks like nothing's wrong, there has to have an explanation.
I don't know. I don't have no.
For why? So let's talk about it, because we can say it because we both are very fishy on the details of this story. So I'm not quite sure that this is real, but we're talking about it. We're giving them the benefit of the doubt, and we're talking about it like this is an actual attack. But I get what you're saying. The cop was there before he was actually physically attacked with the hammer, and he was allowed to hit him multiple times. And the guy's 80-something years old.
And the story,
like, what is the police doing? Like, it just doesn't. Something is missing here. Something's missing.
In the embassy story I read, and I'm just well, not read, but I saw it on. It was like a YouTube video where they were talking about. I was trying to see what the fuck happened, and in their reports, I'm only going off this report, so I'm letting you guys know that. So if the story changes, my analysis changes. They said in their segment that this man was hitting the hammer multiple times in the head. So what did the guy do? Did he have him and lightly tap him? Ding ding, hey, ding ding with Nancy Pelosi at ding ding. That is the only way he survives. Do you guys know how hard a hammer is? I'm a martial artist. If I head kick a motherfucker, there's a good chance. If I head kick an old man, there's a good chance that he's gonna have permanent brain damage. This man got hit in the hammer multiple times in the head, and he's gonna have a full recovery.
And every strike is more powerful than the last, because you got to understand. Let's say he did start off with a tap. When you pull the hammer back, that second strike is gonna be harder because it's distance. Like, it's just gonna be a harder strike. So there's that, but also he also had a hammer in his hand. He also had a hammer. Go ahead.
This comment by Badfell, I'm a martial arts guy. Take my word for it. He said it wasn't Thor behind the hammer, guys. Come on. If a 5'4", 115-pound, 16-year-old girl hits you with a head with a hammer, you're dead. You guys understand that?
Yeah, the hammer is what has the weight, not the person. Not the person.
You do not have to be Thor, motherfucker. Anyone could fuck someone up with a hammer, especially a deranged domestic. Oh, so sorry. Sorry, guy. Sorry. He was sarcastic, but I do think that's an important point. I do think that's an important point to make, though. The point stands that even if someone was hit, even if it's a small, like, it do not take that much force. So that's a funny comment. You got me, bad fella. But the point still stands. The point still stands though. Like that's why I say I got questions. I don't know what the questions lead to yet. But I'm telling you, this story is not as presented, and they're using this to justify increased national police funding. And this happened before the midterms, and now they can.
And they're all going there already. Oh. They're going there already. Like it hasn't even been 24 hours, and they already have these things. Oh, we're gonna like that's why it's too set up.
And
so
one last thing I say.
Go ahead.
One last thing I saw on the video because that same segment. No, I actually do remember who did it. Joyanne Reed. Joyanne Reed did a segment on this. And she mentioned, she was like, yeah, this is a problem with Trumpism. There's a rise of anti-extremist violence. For example, MAGA ideology led to the kidnapping of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the attempt on her life. Scratch. Wait, what you said? She literally brought that up in her segment, and she didn't mention to her audience that was an FBI setup. And so many liberals in mainstream media, they will bring up, oh my God, do you guys remember the MAGA people who tried to kidnap the governor of Michigan? It later come out that was this FBI plot. They were trying to trap these motherfuckers. So I don't know yet on the story, but there's a lot of shady shit to this, and I would not be surprised if there was an FBI involved in this. Like there was a terrorist set up to do something like this because that is very common. The FBI,
you know what else was suspicious?
Yeah, go ahead.
He was like at the news conference, the chief of police was like, we're going to make a statement and we're not taking any questions like from the jump. I was like, what? Like they didn't give a description of the person at first. Like it was just very suspicious to me. But we're examining this in this stream as if what they're saying is true. But if we have to double back and say, hey, this is some bullshit, we'll do that. But let's get back to the video, Nick.
I will say 100% they are 100% exaggerating the hammer attack. I'm not saying that I will hold judgment on the motive and all that stuff. But any report that said this man was attacked multiple times with a hammer to the head, I call bullshit. I think they were trying to make this attack bigger than it was. There's no way.
And he was overcharged.
I had taken countless hits. I can take a punch. I took so many blows in my life. If someone hit me with a hammer, I'm out. I'm done. I'm done. He's an older man. This nigga is in his 60s. And you guys think
80s? What do you mean? He's in his 80s.
You guys
He's in his 80s. He's like 85, Nick. He's like 84 or something like that. He's in his 80s. He ain't in his 60s.
These motherfuckers think they think he got the chin of Oscar De La Hoya. Like this old man is not taking multiple hammer strikes. So even if I'm wrong, like the motive and all that stuff, I guarantee you the corporate media is blowing this up and they're making
not with a full recovery is what you're saying. He's not taking it with a full recovery. That means he must have grazed them. He must have grazed them or something like that. He didn't hit the guy. There's no way.
Sorry, CJ, we get to the video, but I said 60. Comments say he's 82 years old.
Yes.
82-year-old man is taking multiple hammers to the head. There's no way you convince me of that. There is literally no way. These motherfuckers will fall down the steps and they'll die. And he taking multiple hammer blows?
Yeah, I've fallen and I can't get up, but he can take multiple hammer blows. That's what we're doing.
Let's get
today.
To the video. And as we play the video, and maybe TYT proved me wrong, but how many people are going to cover this story with these kind of questions? Well, I think it's common sense. Well, I think independent media should be doing. But go ahead, let's play the video.
No, they're running with it. Let's listen.
They saw it but couldn't stop it in time for the guy to grab the hammer, etc. But I'm not trying to blame the cops. The main issue here is the assailant, right? So we have 1,000 policy issues with Nancy Pelosi, but that has nothing to do with any of this because this is madness, sheer goddamn madness. And so what number one thing when I saw the story in the morning is it just a random break-in, which is already a huge problem in California, right? Or
he's referring to the homeless problem is when he says that. That's what he's referring to.
What a motherfucker.
Yeah, he refers to it in that way. Break-ins and a lot of trash. When he said, "Oh, it's a lot of trash," when he was saying about Karen Bass tweet, there's a lot of trash everywhere. He's referring to the homeless problem is what he's talking about. But the reason I pause it here because this is where he's going to start going into the stuff. So this let's listen closely to Jank now.
Or is it political? And where's Nancy? He's going to tie up the husband until he gets what he wants in terms of attacking Nancy Pelosi instead. It's obviously definitely specific. It's not like he wandered into any random house. He knew exactly where he was, and it's obviously political. Well, I mean, we've been warning you about political violence 1,000 times over, and here we are, because all you got to do is egg on the most unstable people on your side. He's a massive right winger. We're going to get to that later in the program, but it was clearly an attack egged on by a guy's politics, and this is what vigilante violence looks like. And honestly, this is what fascism looks like.
He's all he about to cry. Oh shit. Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, here's the thing. Cenk already covered the point that it's bad to hurt people, but there's another element here, which this is not an effective approach to get something done, I don't think. So you should be mad at systems, not individual people, because what would happen if you were to actually get it?
So you shouldn't be mad at systems. So that nuclear bomb went off. Don't be mad at the person who pushed the button or the person who ordered the person to push the button. Be mad at the machine. That's what she's saying.
Who is the system? Who is the system? You guys seen the system come out of nowhere, popped up, and it ran on itself?
And I would say when she says this is not an effective strategy, I would say this is not an effective strategy if you're doing it alone. This is not an effective strategy. So I'll leave it there. Let's continue.
Get in there and do whatever he wanted to do to Nancy Pelosi. The system that's in place would suggest someone just like Nancy Pelosi would then take public office. And that's why when it comes to political change, it doesn't make sense to go and try and kill individuals who are people in power. Like if your problem is Nancy Pelosi and people like her getting into office, no matter what side you're on, this is not effective because the way the Democratic establishment is set up and the way politics are set up in our country and the lobbying in San Francisco, someone just like Nancy would end up getting into political office anyway.
So that's 100% true.
I didn't know. I'll let it go. I didn't get
true.
Where the
and we
point
say
was
on
there.
air all the time, and I'll say it in every story that it involves politics and violence. Our side never does violence. If you do, you're by definition not on our side. No progressive thinks, oh, let me go kill someone or hurt someone because I think that's a
your
smart
side
strategy.
is sending weapons to Ukraine. What the fuck are you talking about?
What he's saying is, Nick, what he's saying is our side, we don't go and do the violence. They just hire somebody.
Oh yeah, we do it officially.
That's what they do. We don't do it ourselves. That's what he's saying.
Y'all were just fear-mongering over homeless and criticizing the left position on criminal justice. Do you guys think the cops are going to escort the homeless people out of homeless camps? Do you think they're going to do it gently, Cenk? Do you think they're gentle with the homeless camps they raid? Look at New York and Eric Adams. That is shit that Cenk and Anna wants in LA. Your side is violent.
Yeah, very.
It's the opposite of what progressives think. We're the good guys that are trying to bring change in a political way, etc. So that all that stuff is, I think, super obvious, but we emphasize it every time anyway, in case it isn't obvious. Okay, so and the reason for that is to Jessica's point, her point.
So let me make this point. So and this speaks to the other point, like, oh, they'll go hire somebody or they'll do violence. They always do their violence indirectly. And let me explain. So what is the way the liberal and progressives do their violence? They'll be in the park with a black bird watcher and they'll just say, hey, call up the police. Hey, can you come over here and get this black guy? He's threatening me. Absolutely. You see how they're not physically, that makes them in their own head. See, I'm civilized. I didn't touch and strike this guy. All she did was put him into the criminal justice system. All she did was call the slave catchers and say this slave is here and I'm a white woman. That's how they do their violence.
And John Fairman, like, fuck that, fuck the middleman. I do it myself. That's the part. Jay Uger, like, we don't support violence. Y'all literally about to support a guy who pulled a shotgun out on a black jogger. Sit the fuck down. And why the fuck is he talking like he's talking for the progressive movement? Then you are a union busting capitalist.
You're not
that
that.
Support the U.S. hegemon. Fuck out of here. Let's continue.
Her point is so clearly true, but the problem for people that don't do what we do and that instead egg people on is some people in your audience are Nobel laureates, maybe, certainly in our audience, and some of them are incredibly smart and well-educated, etc. But some folks in anybody's audience, let alone if you're a right-winger, right, are not so bright. And you think they're doing strategy, how is the best way to effectuate change? Well, I've written a thesis on it. And if they do write a thesis, it's usually called a manifesto. And it's like got like the crazy
what are you
things
talking
you've ever
about,
seen
bro?
in your
No
life,
one's saying
right?
that. Look, guys, as someone who's looking at, no one is, I haven't seen no one on the right was like, man, this guy had great strategy. I see everyone on the right running away and like,
but strategy for what though?
So
strategy for what?
Jenkins like build up a straw man and knocking it down in the most literally cringe way possible. Like who is saying that this guy used great strategy? Not one person. Not one person. Even you said like, man, this is bad strategy because he's doing it on his own. Where are the coordinated populist militaristic tactics that needed to build a revolution? No one would say he's using good tactics. He's building up a straw man. What the fuck? And I'm literally listening the last 15 seconds like, the fuck you talking about, bro? This let's continue the video. Jesus Christ.
Right? So these are not rational thinkers. That's why you have to be careful on air and not use violent rhetoric when you're talking about politics. Hey, every once in a while you go, hey, we're gonna kick the Republican ass, we're gonna bury the Democrats, etc. in a political context. I'm not nitpicking on that. We're not, but saying like these people are dangerous and you should do something about it. There's many.
You know how many times I've heard him say they're dangerous?
Yes.
What is he talking about?
What is he talking about, bro? He just be winging it. I swear, God, there's no way this motherfucker prep. Like this nigga just be winging it. Cause he's making no sense. He 100% in his video. And his commentary be like, the Republicans are dangerous. We gotta do something about the Republicans. Like, he literally had no idea that he said that. He just winging it.
Yeah, like Anna be like, hey, Jake, you got your notes? He's like, no, I got my vibes though. I got vibes.
I got the vibes, bro. I feel the heat today, bro.
Again, we'll get to it in a second, a little bit later in the show. But if you go down that path, you're triggering people who are already unstable. And this guy's history is clearly unstable.
Yes.
So he's got family members who are like, I don't know about this guy. He had somebody that he was in the same room with for a little while. I think, what was he, babysitting or something for them? Not babysitting, that's a disaster. But somehow that he was working for them. And she said, I cut off the relationship because it was super obvious that he was not only unstable, but I was worried he was dangerous.
Yeah.
That those people also exist out there. So you have to be careful what you say because of that context.
Exactly. Yeah. And what you said about, by definition, this person wouldn't be a progressive. I want to go one step beyond that because the other side will say the same thing when there is an act of violence. They'll say this person clearly wasn't.
Right. And so I wanted to stop it there. And I'm now gonna go to this next video, and this is the video where they name names. Like I said, they're gonna name where is my history? How come my history is not showing up here? They're gonna name Jimmy Dore as being a possible person to influence. Where is it here? 1 second. Oh, right here. So the title of this video by and within the first 3 minutes they're gonna get right on it. The title of this video, if you want to go look it up and see, this is where I stopped it. You see they're talking about Jimmy Dore right now. So let's rewind it back so you can see how we get to that part. It's called Pelosi Attacker Motivated by Conservative Talking Points. This one is the one. This is probably the main video.
According to CNN, the assailant who attacked Paul Pelosi in his San Francisco home reportedly shouted, "Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?" Before attacking Paul with a hammer. And the attack, this is according to the Wall Street Journal. The attacker has espoused extreme right-wing views on social media, including conspiracy theories about COVID-19, according to one of the law enforcement officials. I saw that the guy's name is David DePape. This is coming from Los Angeles Times. David DePape, he's 42 years old. As soon as I saw that he was 42, it became clear to me that this is probably a targeted attack, right? Like this is not, people randomly breaking into, a home. I just don't think a 42 sounds like somebody's coming.
So what I said, Nick, is in the first 2 minutes they're gonna start tying this to Jimmy Dore. So yeah, okay. So here we go.
Coming in, who's probably got some emotional issues and has been fed a full-on stream of right-wing talking points and diluted points, and here's an example. Yeah, I mean, should we just pop this up?
I mean, take this with a grain of salt. It seems very legit, but looks like this guy works for the Daily Caller.
Yeah, Dylan Hausman, it works for the Daily Caller, but I do follow him.
He follows me, so maybe
he's actually a good reporter for the Daily Caller.
Okay, there we go.
Politics, but
what'd you say?
I love the contrast between us and them. I cannot emphasize that enough. You guys saw our coverage of this, right? Look at their coverage. Look at James' coverage. I'm so glad that we're so different from these motherfuckers, man. Like this is so what is the fucking benefit that people get watching this? You might as well be watching MSNBC. I know because I do a lot of Oppo. On my next statement, I'm gonna show you guys an example. I do Oppo research just so I can do a good job telling you guys what they say. And when I watch both, there's literally no different from MSNBC.
The same information you get.
I'm not bullshitting.
You get out of it. Yeah,
it's literally not interesting at all. But go ahead, CJ.
But he posted this. David DePape, the alleged attacker of Paul Pelosi, appears to have posted a number of Jimmy Dore videos praising Putin on his blog, including the.
Oh my God! Of course.
So.
Oh my God! Deeply unserious people.
Yeah, but let's talk about It's not because what they're gonna say. What do you mean? It's just his page. We just show what's on his page, but it's more than that. Because does he have one post on his page? Does he have two? Like you're showing the parts that are for red meat for your audience and for the red blue game, so we can go see. Look, people who listen to Jimmy Dore do this. People who listen to so and so do this. Look. Really? Or is it just that people who are living under the conditions of capitalism are easily susceptible to some answer to why their lives are terrible? That's not anybody's fault but capitalism.
Yes.
For a person to be fertile, to do something where somebody outside online to influence them. Do you understand a person's life ain't going good for that to happen? That means you are already at rock bottom. The question is, who put the person at rock bottom so he can be influenced? Capitalism. And they don't want to address that, Nick. They just rather blame Jimmy.
We can get back to the video because they're so deeply unserious. If I was to make a joke about this segment, before I watched it, I'm like, Sam Cedar about to find a way to blame Jimmy Dore, isn't he? He actually did it. He's beyond parody. Like, if I was to I'm like, man, Sam Cedar covering it. I literally thought that when you say you're going to bring up Sam Cedar, I'm like, watch this motherfucker trying to bring Jimmy Dore into it somehow. I didn't actually think he was going to do it. Beyond parody. But go ahead, let's play the video.
This one says Ukraine and the Jimmy Dore video, Putin drops 2 minutes of truth about America and Ukraine.
Yeah, but Jimmy never talked.
So let's deconstruct this small part that they're talking about. So this is what they're saying. This person who did this thing, right? This person who did this thing can't be right on Ukraine? Because they did that, they can't be right on Ukraine. What if he had defund the police? That means he's wrong on defund the police. Go ahead, Nick. Go.
You know what they're doing? Because they're Ukraine simps too. So they're using this to support their position. It's so underhand because they're like, oh, all the people who are calling out the U.S. and Ukraine. Look at how crazy they are. Look, they're attacking people with hammers. They got to do these cheap tricks because they can't debate us on the facts. What's CJ?
Yeah, it's like another minute, and then we can move to the next segment.
Never talks about Nancy Pelosi on his show. So.
He never does like COVID conspiracies or anything like that either.
The sarcasm. He never does COVID conspiracies. I watch his COVID videos. I haven't seen any conspiracies on his channel. Just because YouTube calls it a conspiracy and the CDC, which is laughable and a joke, like the sarcasm is just so distasteful to me. Like I just want to slap the shit out of the person's talking because it's like there is problems around that topic, and I'm not going to get into it because I don't want this video to be taken down. But just the snide remark is just ridiculous to me. Let's continue.
Wow. He must be so proud. Certainly reaching his
direct action
core audience.
You see how they're making You see how they're making fun of activists and workers? Nigga, if I was in the studio, I'll slap the shit out that guy right now.
I still don't.
What'd you say?
I still don't get the appeal of the show.
I don't get it either.
This is their segment.
This is like 50-year-olds that watch. I can't imagine anybody under 50, younger than me watching this.
It's the only way.
Can you imagine
enough electoral politics? Okay.
Get in the streets or in a home.
This is going to get us Medicare for all.
Break in.
You don't see how they're mocking people who want to do I didn't get this far, Nick. I didn't get to this mocking part because I was going to stop it earlier, and then during the stream, I'm like, let me see what else they say. You don't hear them like mocking people who would do activism. Listen, I'm going to rewind it just a few seconds.
It's okay.
Get in the streets or in a home.
This is going to get us Medicare for all.
Break in if you gotta.
I mean, troubling.
I mean, not funny.
Force the door open.
Oh, Jesus.
That's
not
comedy.
funny, but
it's weird. Like Harmony,
bro, Shitlib comedy is the worst, dude. That's why I can't watch Saturday night. I can't watch Saturday Night.
Yeah, because
Live.
that's what it is. It's garbage.
Shitlib comedy
exactly
is
what it
literally the worst, bro. I really fucking can't.
Paul Pelosi seems to be he'll be okay as of now.
Harmeet Dillon, that weird like lawyer lady, she sent something like, I served papers to the Pelosi's and they had a lot of security, sort of implying that there's some sort of false flag or something going on, which a lot of the right is running with. But then she later said that actually this is a sign that the homelessness problem is
so with no evidence, and that's it. With no evidence, how are they so sure, Nick, that this is not a false flag? Is it because they're so sure because it's the red team and the blue team? Like how are they so sure? Like just like we're saying, like this story could change. We don't know. Like this could some other stuff. But they're so sure. Go ahead, Nick.
As a citizen journalist, our job is to ask questions about the narrative that these lying fucks feed us. The cops lie all the time. The statements that the cops are giving regarding this story sound shady. So how the fuck, as a citizen journalist, are you not at least asking questions about what they say? Because the police, they are the ones who try to sell the idea that this 82-year-old man was attacked in the head with a hammer multiple times, and he's gonna walk away only with minor surgery. Ask anybody who in martial arts, we know how we inherently know how much trauma people can take because we are in trauma. We see people take trauma. We see people take left hooks. We see people take head kicks. We see all the injuries that go on in combat. You're not going to convince me that an 82-year-old man can take a hammer shot to the head multiple times. That is ridiculous to believe. The mainstream media are just repeating it. And then Emma and other citizen journalists are not even questioning this. Why are you a citizen journalist? Why not just send an application for MSNBC? You are literally not even questioning this. You guys see the giant space. Anyway, I got another segment I want to do, CJ.
Yeah, we can do it.
Shouldn't be too long. I told you I've been watching.
Let me shout out some stuff. And by the way, Sabby, I think JB might be in the comments. I just noticed
I saw
Sabby
Sabby earlier. Shout out
in
to
the
our
comments.
Sabby.
But let's do our check like we do between segments. Like this video, please. If you're watching right now, we have 628 people watching this. Make sure you like this video. We are currently at
how did he get to her home? That's another question people are not asking. They're not asking that question. The amount of security that these people have in their mansions, that you realize that the Pelosi family has Secret Service. Like these people, and he just got in the house. How? These are questions that as reporters and journalists we should be asking, not just repeating the narrative. I'm not saying that the narrative is 100% false. They just got some fucking explaining to do. Right? But anyway, so go ahead, CJ. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, just like the video. We're at 498 likes, and we have 628 people watching. Can we push to 550 likes? There's 50 more likes. We have well enough people to get there. Also, if you're watching this on replay, or you just now got here live and you missed a lot of the live stream already, join our Substack. And you can get notifications. Like today, we sent out a notification about 90 minutes before this stream. This was an unannounced stream. Nick did an unannounced stream with Glenn Greenwald, so you would have got notification of that stream if you join our Substack. And also, when we did a check earlier,
also, yeah, it's important to join because the reason why the Glenn was unannounced because these people were busy. I'm like, all right, what time? I all know they're gonna pull out. I know what time we can schedule. It was kind of tentative, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna just set this mug up right when I get the confirmation. So that's why it's good to join Substack because you never know when that happens. Because I'm setting up some with Fiorella right now and a few other guests. Well, I'm not necessarily sure what time it's gonna be yet.
Right, these are very busy people. They're very busy, so they're kind of just drop in. Like Max Blumenthal is very classic for knowing. He kind of drops in like with all our summits he's been on. It's like he has to let us know literally right like the day before. So they're just very busy. So. Also, before we started, we were at 24,046 subscribers, and we've gained. We're up to 73. Wow, we've gained a lot. So we've gained over about 30 just in the stream, Nick. So that's all I got. We can get back to the stories.
Dude, I swear to God, this stream, like we getting more viewers than usual on this stream. That's how you know people are seeing the Nancy Pelosi coverage because that's that's what our lead is, that's what our title is.
Yeah.
People are seeing people cover this shit like
something's fishy.
It's something fishy. Like, we need someone to cover this differently than y'all. You got to see TYT, Zoya. I saw someone said in the chat that Jordan is also blaming Jimmy Dore.
Yeah.
All these people with horrific coverage of this. So people just want like. We get someone that can at least question the narrative. So I hope you guys we didn't disappoint because as soon as I saw the story, I like this shit don't add up. I mean immediately. And
I think other people are having those questions, and it doesn't mean to say it's a lie, but it's just to say the details that are being reported don't sound like what shit doesn't sound right. So a lot of times details change. What police put out a lot of stuff. We've seen Uvalde. You see what they put out, and then they have to change a bunch of shit. Like, that's what happens. So we have to see if they put out an update and they say, oh, okay, now that makes sense why this happened and why it all could be explained. Or this all could be a false flag. And we see Paul Pelosi in Vegas, playing craps, and he's like, hanging out with Snoop or something like that. Then we're going to be like, this seems fishy. You just got hit in the head with a hammer like 2 weeks ago, and now you over here. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm going to flat out say it because I'm not afraid to go on the record because this is only a theory. My theory on this story is, once again, keyword being theory, the Whitmer, I always struggle with first name, the governor of Michigan, it was proven that was an FBI planned and coordinated terrorist attack and terrorist incident. They groomed those people. So my guess and my theory is that this person was groomed and tried to attack the Pelosi's, and now after the attack, they are pretending the attack is worse than it was.
Yeah,
and because they're using the attack to demonize the right as being violent while trying to build political capital Gretchen Whitmer. Thank you, comments. I always struggle with her name. Gretchen Whitmer. So it was proven the FBI was involved in that. I think the FBI is involved in grooming this guy. He did try to attack them. Paul Pelosi wasn't injured anywhere near where they claiming he was, or at least he wasn't attacked by a hammer. So they try to make it sound worse so they can be more effective in their propaganda. So they're lying about this. So that's my theory. I want to go on, you guys can bookmark this. I want to go on record on saying that because I think we're going to get more details. And then it'd be like weeks later, the same thing with the Gretchen Whitmer story. We didn't know about the FBI involvement until like weeks later. With like the conspiracy theory is like, this shit sounds fishy. Then later it came out, yo, you see this dude was groomed by the FBI. That's a possibility here. So anyway, that's my last thoughts on this.
I just wanted to cover so we took a poll, and the question of the poll is, how much do you care about the attack on Nancy and Paul Pelosi? And as you can see, people don't give a fuck about this shit. It says, and now this is a lot of votes. There's
if you watch
1,500 votes. Go ahead, Nick.
If you watch corporate media, it will be completely different. You would never think. You would think it would be the exact opposite. They're talking about the story as if it's the biggest tragedy that happened in 2022.
Exactly. But as you can see, the results, like, it's overwhelming, and this is over 1,500 people. So this is not like this is just a few hundred people. And by tomorrow, I'm sure this will be double that. It'll probably be 3,000. But I don't see these results changing. And the results are, I'll start from the bottom. 4% say very much for those listening and not watching. 17% of this poll, 17% of the people in this poll say very little. So how much do you care about the attack on the Pelosi's? 4% say very much. So those are the really shitlib people. And then very little, 17%. And then a decent amount, there's a little, these are some more shitlibs, say 8%. But the fuck the Pelosi's is a whopping 70%, Nick. And if we round it up, it's 71%. And the comments are as follows. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, here goes Dana says, oh, I'm sorry, I have 0 fucks to give. And remember this old meme card. I remember that back in the day. I don't understand why this isn't 100% fuck the Pelosi's. This person is saying, I don't see why this is not 100% and not 70. So he's complaining, he or she is complaining that it's 70%. And I think that's all I got.
And this is great because this is my meme. You guys see how much people relate to it. Because I said this is me trying my best not to comment on the Paul Pelosi story, so I won't get banned. And look, over 1,000 likes for that. I literally shit posted that it only took a few seconds, but it got 1,000 likes because that resonates with so many people. This story happened, and everyone was like, "We gotta be careful talking about this one because if y'all think we gave a fuck about this old motherfucker, y'all out your goddamn mind." So everyone was like, "All right, we gotta be careful. We gotta be nice," because no one in the working class, like the title says, give a fuck about Paul Pelosi. So here, and also this is the receipt. So people who are not in the know I'm not making it up. And you can find many. I found one of many of these articles. It's very easy to find. Just type in FBI and Governor Whitmer. The FBI pushed hapless client into Governor Whitmer kidnap plot, attorney says. So once again, I told you guys, I'm a scientifically minded person. I'm a believer in the scientific theory. Scientists, they introduce hypothesis. So my hypothesis is, based on prior knowledge that I know, that the FBI was probably involved in this because that is their modus operandi. And then the attack, which I'm saying is not fake, the attack may be real, but the media is making it seem worse than what it is in order to help the Democratic Party agenda and to pass national security defense funding. So I hope my position is clear here. The mainstream narrative is 100% bullshit. 100% bullshit, but it's in the way I explain. Anyway, I think I'm explaining. No, go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, and in my tweet, I'll toss up what I tweeted out about it, and it's the lady who made millions from insider trading and who refused to bring Medicare for all to the floor gets zero sympathy from me. Let me say this with the utmost, I'm going to say disrespect. So let me say this with the utmost disrespect. I don't give a fuck about what happens to corrupt people like Nancy and Paul Pelosi. That is at 700 likes. People really like this. Here goes Zoya talking about it too. Civilian intruder with the hammer breached one of the most influential neighborhoods in San Francisco, where many residents pay a private service, Pacific Heights Security, to protect their home. Or politicians in a surveillance state want an excuse to increase police power amidst growing unrest. And it's the second. Frustrated lawmakers want protection for their families as threats increase, because people are not going to sit back and just you can't keep fucking people over with policies and then people ain't going to get mad. Like, it's so ridiculous for you to think that. This is what I was trying to find. Thank you, Zoya. She's in the comments too. Thank you, Zoya. But this is exactly what you were what you were sort of alluding to.
Yeah, that's why I love Zoya. We see eye to eye on things. Because that's exactly as soon as I saw the media coverage I watch, I don't watch corporate news to get informed. Do not get your news from corporate media. I watch corporate news to get op on these motherfuckers. Dude, I'm like, I want to see what these neocons are saying about this. And that leads to our next segment. It shouldn't be a long segment because we're about 2 hours. I know we got to wrap up soon. Should be a long segment because I told you guys I've been watching a lot of corporate news segments on the Ukraine war and on Putin, because I've been seeing how unbelievably unhinged the propaganda has been. So Putin just gave a speech recently where he was talking about and declaring the end of U.S. unipolar dominance. And I'm going to show you guys, for example, because I tell you guys all the time, the propaganda around this has been so intense. I'm going to show you guys a 90-second segment from corporate media that covers Putin's speech. And Putin in this speech, and the reason why Putin has a 75% approval rating, because he makes 100% clear to his people why the West is a threat. He brings up the fact that the United States killed Iranian generals, and then they admit it, like, yeah, we did it. What the fuck you talking about? Nigga, we do whatever the fuck we want. And Russia's like, bro, y'all can't do that. He like breaking Minsk agreements, the never expansion of NATO. You got bombing Africa. You got funding. Like, he literally called out the crimes of the West, right? And it's a great speech. And remember what the common thing that we hit on? The corporate media, they don't show Putin speaking ever. Why do you guys think that is? Excuse me. When corporate media covers Putin, they tell you what you say, and they're like, source, bro, trust me. They would never just play the clip. Now, I'm gonna show you guys what I mean here, because I pulled some receipts for you guys to show you how propaganda works, the U.S. propaganda and the corporate media, how they've been smearing and how they present Putin. And that was all about create a bad guy. Me and Glenn talk about this long-time propaganda. Create a bad guy, create a villain, strip nation sovereignty out of it, and so it's not Russia that's doing this, it's Putin. Putin is evil. The Russian people are not for this. They always say the Russian people are upset, even though he got 75% approval rating. They keep saying this stuff like the Russian people held hostage. Putin had this authoritarian grip on the country, ignoring the fact that all the Russian senators won this as well. Ignoring the fact that it's massively popular by the people because they've seen Nazi buildup on the border and what that historically means. So anyway, let's get to the segment, because I can debunk this in real time too. I want you to see the ridiculousness of this as well, CJ. That's why I'm glad you joined me, because you can actually see. I know you don't watch a ton of these corporate media segments. Yeah. You can really see how ridiculous they are. With this from NBC News. And I'm gonna try not to stop it, but it's gonna be hard because it's one of those segments where really this is 90 seconds, but every sentence they say is propaganda. Let's play it and I'm explain. Here we go. There we go. 3 seconds in, already propaganda. They said growing pressure at home over Ukraine. Vladimir Putin has a 75% approval rating. What did Joe Biden's? So where's the segment from NBC where they say, oh, growing unrest at home because Biden's endless wars? It doesn't happen. Putin is more popular than your politicians, but all these
that would never happen.
Every single
they would never do that, Nick. They would never do that ever. Go ahead.
Ever. Yeah, ever. Feel free to interrupt. I can't really see cues here. Feel free to interrupt. But they would never say, "Oh my God, look at how unpopular Joe Biden is here." This is why Joe Biden launching his sanction war against Iran. Don't you see that's unpopular in this country? Why is he arming Taiwan? Do you see his approval rating? American unrest over Biden arming Taiwan. They would never do that. But you see how they do that with Putin? So once again, I'll try not to stop it too much more. But that's literally one sentence. I'll tell you, every single sentence in this 90-second segment was carefully written. Every single one. Let me play that part again because it's only the beginning. And I'll try to play a little bit more. Run pressure. Sir, you see how they say Vladimir Putin says, and he blames the West, and then they don't say what he says. You know, is that CJ? Let's play it again. They are terrified of showing people the message that Putin is giving his people, which leads to him having 75% approval rating. And this is why 80% of the global population sees through the West bullshit. Africa is hearing Putin's speeches. They're like, this nigga got a good point. Right? But they won't show this on TV. Let me show you guys that part again. He says Putin blames the West, and then they pretend that that's a preposterous idea. And they don't show what he said. Look at this. I'll play from the beginning. I'll let it play longer, I promise.
Bacon and eggs.
No comment on that? Doesn't that contradict everything you motherfuckers been saying in the media for the last 2 months? What did I tell you guys on RBN?
Hey Nick, I couldn't hear the video. Did the video have sound?
Did it? Hopefully.
No, I didn't know if you were saying it has sound because I didn't hear anything. I just heard the.
Let me try to.
I just saw.
Oh shit! No audio. No audio.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, play that part again. I was wondering. I was like, maybe it's my
how long the audio been messed up on that?
No, I only heard you speaking, and I didn't hear anything that the video had said. So when you play it, let me see if I can hear it this time.
Growing pressure at home.
Now I can hear it.
Tonight, a defiant Russian president.
The whole time.
Vladimir Putin blaming his invasion on the West, saying they wanted this conflict.
I'm very upset. So the whole time you guys couldn't hear this. That's so annoying.
So, but the thing is, it didn't seem like anything was wrong because you were filling in the information by what you were saying. So I just thought the video was just.
I'll tell you the reason why that happens. And I got this new mic. I appreciate the person who sent me this mic. This mic fucks my audio settings sometimes. And that is what happened. I got to get used to that. I apologize, guys. I got to get used to this new mic. For some reason, when I share videos, it fucks the settings up. I got to make sure it doesn't happen. Luckily, I didn't play too much of it, and I did good play-by-play. I cannot believe you guys didn't hear that. So anyway, let's play it again. And you guys see what I'm talking about. God damn, that's crazy.
Facing growing pressure at home over Ukraine, tonight, a defiant Russian president. Vladimir Putin blaming his invasion on the West, saying they wanted this conflict.
See, now you guys can hear it. Now you guys see what I'm talking about. Now you guys can hear. You guys
now it makes sense.
God, I cannot believe I fucked the segment up by that. But anyway, I guess this will be a live only segment.
No, you can cut that out. Just don't, just cut it out.
Anyway, I'll play the beginning again because that's what I went on the whole rant about. No, you guys see how they start? They start the video. You guys did not hear it. So you guys, that probably made no fucking sense. I was talking about. But anyway, that's so funny. Look at how the video segment starts, where he says, despite growing Russian discontent at home. That's when I went on my spiel. How are you guys going to say that when Putin has 75% approval rating? Look at how the video starts.
Growing pressure at home over Ukraine. Tonight, a defiant Russian president.
You guys hear that?
At home over Ukraine.
Yes, I can hear it.
Growing pressure at home over Ukraine.
Despite growing pressure at home over Ukraine. And that's when I made my point. How do they ever bring up the fact that Biden has a low approval rating? They're saying, yo, why is Biden taking the same pressure because he's bombing Somalia? Biden taking insane pressure at home because he's trying to coup Venezuela. He's trying to wage a war against China. Now,
tonight,
I'm gonna get to the next part. I'm trying to speed up a little bit that you guys missed.
A defiant Russian president. Vladimir Putin blaming his invasion on the West, saying they wanted this conflict.
And this is when I was playing. You guys see how he said their whole thing when they report Putin is they like, we're gonna tell you what he said, and you're just trust me. He says that the Putin blames the West, and then they present it as if he had no argument for that because they don't play it. You guys see that? Let's play it again, and then I'll play a little bit more of the clip.
Vladimir Putin blaming his invasion on the West, saying they wanted this conflict. One day after overseeing Russian nuclear drills, now Putin saying he has no intention of using nuclear weapons.
And now this is the part where you stop me, because this is where I was mentioning earlier. That just contradicts everything you guys have been saying in the media for the last 2 months. You guys heard what he said? Putin has been constantly saying that he's not going to use nuclear weapons. But everyone been repeating as fact that Russia has been waging and bringing up nuclear threats. That has never been the case. CJ, what did I say on this show? I told you guys that Putin never threatened to use a nuclear weapon. He said he's wanting to protect Russian sovereignty and their existence as a state. Everything's on the table for that. So what that means is, as long as the West stop fucking with them, there will be no beef. There's no reason to escalate. At no point did he said, I am about to launch a nuke into Ukraine. But the media just ran on it. And I said on the show, it's been bullshit. Look at the transcripts. At no point did Vladimir Putin say he was going to use a nuke. At no point did he say that.
Yeah, I remember a segment on corporate media where how they drew the connection was he says he's willing to defend, everything's on the table, and he's willing to defend his land, and they just voted this land on as part of Russia. So that means if we do this, they're gonna come after us with nukes. Look at him escalating the war. That's how they explained it. And I was like, that's some mental gymnastics for you to get there. Go ahead, Nick.
That doesn't make, guys, Ukraine, and most people can't point to Ukraine on the map, by the way. The same with Taiwan. People think Taiwan crossed the country, it's closer than Hawaii. How does it make sense for Russia to nuke Ukraine when it's a neighboring country right next to Russia?
Like the nukes is gonna stay, like it's not gonna come across, like all the radiation is not gonna come across. It's so ridiculous.
It's so fucking stupid, and Americans literally fall for it. You will literally see all the progressives. Kyle Kalinske on the Vanguard was like, Putin threatening nukes. At no point did Putin ever say he would use nukes. You guys know who said? You guys who said Joe Biden was asked whether they would say nukes are off the table, and he declined to comment. The only person who was like, yeah, we down to nuke shit has been the United States. You literally have Biden administration officials saying that we should fight and we can win a low-scale nuclear war. You are not hearing that rhetoric from Russia. That's coming from the U.S. I'm sorry, this segment is already fucked up because the audio at the beginning. I'll let this segment play from the very beginning, and I'll let it play all the way through. But I want you guys to realize we only made 20 seconds in. And I had to stop a few times because every sentence they say is a lie. Every one. So I'm playing from the beginning. Let's watch the whole 9-second clip. I promise I won't stop it. I'll just sit here raging in silence.
Growing pressure at home over Ukraine. Tonight, a defiant Russian president. Vladimir Putin blaming his invasion on the West, saying they wanted this conflict. One day after overseeing Russian nuclear drills, now Putin saying he has no intention of using nuclear weapons. But in Ukraine, Putin's war is everywhere. In the southern city of Bakhmut, the battle rages and civilians are again caught in the middle. In Russian-occupied Kherson, the fighting is fierce. Just as the Ukrainian army looked poised to break through, a cruel twist as the Russian army forcibly removes civilians, saying anyone who remains will be treated as an enemy. And in Kyiv, the reality of this war is never far. These are the wives of Ukrainian POWs held by Russia. We met Ivana. Her 26-year-old husband, Dmitry, disappeared 4 months ago fighting in the east.
Nick, let me just Nick, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. And you guys can see, I stopped it there because I don't think the video has any value at this point. I want to show you guys how they present Putin speaking in the Russian narrative versus what he actually says. In the very beginning point, you see how they said Russia blames the West, and they present this as Putin went on this unhinged rant, and they don't show him speaking on TV. Why you guys think that's not the case? And I was playing this tweet because Convo Cows posted this video. I'm gonna read along with it.
It's very easy. It's a very easy answer. It's because then any person who can speak Russian could clearly see what the U.S. is telling us is not what he's saying. That's why. It's not like, you get what I'm saying? Any person who learned Russian in high school or wherever, you'll be able to hear him go, that's not what he's saying. Y'all saying he's saying that, but that's not what he's saying. I can understand Russian.
Yeah, they can even commentate over it like they usually do. Like they can have a live commentator over it. Like one of the videos I pulled up, they have an English sub translation. They can easily do that on TV. They just don't. Because I pulled up one segment as an example, but if you watch a few segments on the corporate news covering Putin's speech, they'll say, oh my God, this speech is an example of Putin being unhinged. He's spreading unfounded conspiracy theories against the West that rouse up his people and make them anti-U.S. This is why the Putin puppets are tricked, because Putin is a master propagandist. This is an example. I'm going to give you guys a few examples of stuff he said and why they would never play it on TV. This is what Putin says, calling out the U.S. They have no limits. And once again, shout out to the Convo Couch, friend of the show. We're gonna have Fiorella on either tomorrow or Tuesday. We're still hammering the time out, so they're gonna be on talk about this here soon. Friend of the show. They clipped this out. Putin said they have no limits. They are not shy about anything. They killed Soleimani. That's the Iranian general. You can judge Soleimani however you want, but this is an official in another state. They killed him on a territory of a third country and said, yes, we killed him. This is another reason why they don't show Putin speaking. Unlike our fucking moron leaders, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Herschel Walker, unlike these fucking idiots, Putin is a great speaker. And he makes, and once again, no matter how you feel about Putin, this man makes devastating points about the West. He said, how can you guys call Russia an authoritarian state, a prison hellhole? Look at how you guys treat African Americans in your country. He say stuff like that all the time. During the George Floyd protest, he was like, you guys said we was authoritarian. Look at what you guys doing to your protesters there. I bet you guys never heard him say that, didn't you? He has. And this is him bringing up the fact that they killed an Iranian general, and then the U.S. openly admitted, like, yeah, we killed him. He was enemy of the state. Nigga, you guys are everything that you guys claim Russia and China. You guys are killing people in other countries because they disagree with your geopolitical agenda. That is gangster, and that is what Putin is playing when he's resisting. I'm gonna speed this up here. Here's a video.
Dominion of the world.
You see how this video is translated? Like, you're gonna see an English voiceover. We're gonna play it. They could easily do this and play it on MSNBC and CNN, but once again, they would never do that. Because listen to what Putin said about the West here. I'm just gonna say make sure the audio is good at this time. Yeah, so I'm gonna play the video, and you definitely see why they'll never play the speech. So in this segment I just showed you, they're like, oh, Putin just blames the West, and they say as if he had no facts. Here's Putin on the West.
Is precisely what the so-called West has decided to stake in this game. But this game is a dangerous, dirty, and deadly one. It contests the sovereignty of peoples and nations, their identity and uniqueness, and has no regard whatsoever for the interests of other countries. Well, we cannot say rejection directly, but this is basically what we see happening in life. And those who formulate these rules believe that others have no right to their unique path. Everyone needs to abide by these rules. And I would like to remind you of Russia's proposal addressed to our Western partners. The proposal to reinforce trust and build a system of collective security last December, yet again, this proposal was cast aside. But in the modern world, it's not going to be possible to sit this one out. Whoever sows the wind will reap the whirlwind.
And if you guys are not sure what he's talking about there, he brought up how the United States and the West are hypocritical, where they do not follow international law. And I want you guys to know is this. They don't say international law. They say rules-based order. Rules-based order, which means fucking anything that they approve of. So Israel bombing Syria and committing ethnic genocide against Palestinians, 100% okay, according to the West in the rules-based order. Whenever Iran, China, or Russia does anything, oh my God, look at these crazy motherfuckers. And look at the audience here. And you will see this a lot when Putin speak internationally. I'm going to see how I finally play when
our Western part.
And when you see the audience, you see people like nod their head all the time. Because Putin will go to African countries, and in the West, the stories they have about this are always hilarious, where they say Russia is brainwashing Africa. Because Putin will go in Africa and he will give the same speech. Where he's like, the West have all these contradictions. They're telling you how you should live your life. They want to condemn your society. They want to be your occupier. They want a full spectrum dominance, unipolar world. What Russia want, what we want, we don't want Russian domination. We want a multipolar world where where we have sovereignty and we do not bow to NATO and the United States. So that message horrifies Western chauvinists. But CJ, when Putin going to Africa, telling these African leaders that, they're like, yeah, what the fuck? Who the Western they are? Hell yeah, Russia. Hell yeah. That's why you see Haiti protesters. They have Russian flags. They was like, Russia trying to liberate us from the interference of the West. So break your bubble, Western chauvinists. There's a reason why BRICS is happening. There's a reason why you have the majority of the global population that is not buying this bullshit because they're not brainwashed by U.S. propaganda. They know the pains and suffering of the unipolar U.S. dominant hegemon has brought, and they want another alternative. So this is what Putin said. And then last part of the story, I'm sorry, it went longer than I thought. But the most important fragment of President Putin's speech, so I'm going to read this part of the speech, which is the message of the world that resonates with Africa, with East Asia, and South America. And Americans can kick, cry, and scream about that fact all they want. But this message resonates with the entire world that the United States has destroyed with the imperialism. So this is what Putin said, and we wrap the segment with this. The collapse of the Soviet Union destroyed the balance of forces. The West felt like a winner and proclaimed a unipolar world order in which only its will, culture, and interest has the right to exist. Once again, if you're a Western chauvinist and you disagree with Putin saying here, I promise you an African do not. I promise you an African heard this shit and they're like, yeah, I'm right, motherfucker. Hell yeah. Let me continue. Now, this historical period of undivided Western dominance in the world affairs is coming to an end. Once again, you guys don't like hearing that shit, but Africa, they're like, nigga, the West coming to the end. Telling you guys, don't get mad at us. Telling you guys what the world feels. The unipolar world is becoming a thing of the past. We are standing at a historical milestone. Ahead is the most dangerous, unpredictable, and at the same time important decade since the end of the Second World War. The West is not capable of governing humanity alone, but is desperately trying to do so. And most of the peoples of the world no longer want to put up with this. Fact. That is a fact. This is the main contradiction of the new era. In the words of the classics, the situation is, to a certain extent, revolutionary. The upper and lower classes do not want to live like this anymore. Vladimir Putin in Russia is challenging the dominant Western unipolar hegemon, the imperialist structure that capitalism needs to thrive on. But they call him Putin an imperialist? You guys see that? We are supposed to oppose the imperialist structure. The imperialist structure, as we know it right now, is the unipolar domination of NATO in the West. That is why socialists all over the world are joining in Africa, in China, the Communist Party in China is joining Russia to destroy the giant capitalist hegemon, which should be the priority of Marxists, not joining NATO like the NATO left. So I end the segment there.
Yeah, I do have a couple of rapid fire things.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sort of just rapidly showing you some tweets that's connected to all of the stories that we're covering today. But my last comment on this segment is, if your country is telling you something about somebody, but they never let you hear the person when they can, that's very suspicious to me. It'll be like Nick, me preventing you from ever hearing what Rome has to say, and I'm always just summarizing what Rome has to say. You would think there is a motive behind why you don't want me to just directly hear it directly from him. And it's the same thing. Like, this government is a bad actor, and that bad actor is telling us this other country is doing this, and I'm just saying, I'm fuck that shit. And the black radical tradition is to say, what side is the United States on? I'm on the other side. That's literally part of our black radical tradition. When we would question war in the 70s and the 60s, we would question it. Well, what side is the U.S. on? That's the question. I forget who said. I think it was Margaret Kimberly who said it in a video, or another black person that we look up to. So that's my last words on it. And Nick, let me pull this first one up. Oh, actually, no, let's not do Rob Reiner first, because I know you're gonna have a lot to say about that nigga when I show you some shit that he has to say. So let's start with the quickest one, and that's with the story that we already covered. And this is an update we didn't include. This is from Glenn Greenwald. And he has the same suspicions. Listen to what he says.
Glenn's asking the questions, but go ahead, CJ.
No, if you can continue if you have more, but I'm just going to read this. Yeah, let me read it then, and then we can get our thoughts. There are key details about the Paul Pelosi attack that remain vague and confusing, including who let the police in, how he was able to call 911 in the middle of it, and what the attacker's motive were. The attempt to fill in these gaps with narrative benefits isn't journalism. That is such a key point. The attempt to fill in these gaps with narrative beliefs isn't journalism. I mean, he's pointing to this fact here, because this person tweeted this out, and look where he highlights. David, let me read all of it, not just the highlighted part. David DePappy forced his way into the house through a back entrance, Scott said. Officers arrived at the house, knocked on the front door, and were let inside by an unknown person. They discovered DePappy and Pelosi struggling for the hammer, and after they struck them to drop they instructed them. This sounds very fishy to me, and which is why I said in the news conference was very fishy. It was like, we ain't taking no fucking questions about nothing. We just gonna say this and we out. I was like, you can't tell us nothing, and then to say that you witnessed somebody hammering them. Who fucking let you in the door? Bro, how did you fucking get in? And the burglar, like, how are these dynamics just doesn't make sense. So and how does this 85-year-old have a hammer in his hand and allows himself to be struck, and you're there to see it?
And he's struggling. Wait. He's struggling for the hammer? Is that before or after he was hit? Are you guys telling me this nigga was hit with a hammer and then had the wherewithal to fight someone off? We already proposed a scenario that if you get hit with a hammer in the head, you're most likely not alive, let alone conscious enough to struggle for a hammer. So did that happen? Did the struggling happen before or after he was hit? Was he hit? Did you guys see him get hit with a hammer multiple times to the head? So was that struggle? Like, there's so many questions that don't make no sense. How this is an 82-year-old man? This attacker ambushed him, but lost the hammer. How do you lose the hammer? Did the 82-year-old man disarm you? If Nancy Pelosi married to Jane fucking Bond, did he use the story of Taekwondo and unarming technique? Like, these are questions that I don't understand why people don't ask. 82-year-old man, he get ambushed. So imagine this guy broke in the back. He broke in the back, so he's ambushed. So you already at a disadvantage. So this guy, this 82-year-old man, who's starting at a disadvantage of being ambushed, somehow fought to the point where they're struggling for the hammer. And this happened before or after he was hit with it. Like, you guys see how many questions are not adding up here? So many things. And the more I think about it, the less sense it makes. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah. So we're not. It's that something of the story. Now maybe the police are trying to hide their culpability, so that's why the story doesn't make sense. We don't know. We're just saying this doesn't make sense. If somebody's able to open a door, why aren't the Pelosi getting in between the person who opened the door and the attacker?
I need to see this reenacted. I need someone to reenact this thing. I need to see the visual, because what you guys are saying makes no sense. I want to see that old man looking like Ric Flair fighting this man off. Ric Flair's old man body. I want to see this old man. I want to see what martial art technique he used to disarm the hammer. That's what I want. Because in the article that you put up, they said they saw them struggling for the hammer. At what point did this struggle happen? Did he get side control? Did he pull a judo toss on him?
Right.
Did he pull guard? Did the guy attack him? Did he pull guard, disarm the hammer with an armbar?
Like all of this had to have happened, Nick, within literally 7 seconds, like 5 seconds. Because the door has to be open for the cops to see the hammer, but not enough time for them to get to him. That's literally everything happening at one time. And then
Nancy Pelosi is married to Bruce Lee. This is the coldest. Apparently, according to the story, this is the coldest 82-year-old man. Guys, this story, I literally did not see that part. The reason why I'm reacting is why I swear God did not see that part, because I just saw the corporate media segment where I did not see that part you showed me. They say he was struggling. Oh, Jesus Christ. He was struggling with the hammer after being attacked when the guy came from the back. What? Yes. Guys, I have a back door right over here. And then the front, where most people come in, I have my machete like near the door. And I always think about, like, man, if someone comes to the back door, I got to find a way to make sure I'm prepared. This old man was ambushed from the back. They came through the back door, and he got the wherewithal to disarm him.
And he called the 911. Think about that. The guy's here. He's able to call. You know what? It sounds ridiculous. We don't need to keep rehashing it. It's ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. So part of the story. But here's Hillary Clinton chiming in, and let's read. You see how they're all piling on the Democrats, the red-blue gang. They're all chiming in. So let's read this. Hillary Clinton, HRC. The Republican Party and its mouthpieces now regularly spread hate and deranged conspiracy theories. It is shocking but not surprising that violence is the result. As citizens, we must hold them accountable for their words and actions that follow. And then she shows that's the picture of the actual person. I'm not a doctor, but I can look at this person and tell that this person has some mental issues just from this picture. But it does speak to that.
Bro, if I see this dude, this motherfucker better struggle to walk. He might have some physical disability. Because that's the only way the story makes sense. This man has some extreme physical disability that made it so he can't take out an 82-year-old man with a hammer. And imagine how weak you have to be. Once again, if you do this with someone with a hammer, you're going to fuck them up. If you guys don't, I've been around tools. My dad was a mechanic. I used to work as a mechanic. For printers, I used to work with hammers a lot. Dude, get a hammer and tap the table a few times and see how much impact that is. That was the first red flag of the story. So this guy has to be so weak that, according to one story, he hits him with the head with a hammer multiple times without causing fatal damage. Doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. But go ahead.
There's another quick rapid fire. Let's listen to Bernie Sanders. I just saw this video, Nick. Let's listen.
what Republicans are trying to do, and too many Democrats are allowing them to get away with it. They're saying it's Joe Biden's fault, it's Bernie Sanders' fault, because we passed an American Rescue Plan when you lost your job and were going to be thrown out of your house. We came to help you. We got you $1,400 for every man, woman, and child. I don't apologize for that. And when you lost your job, we extended unemployment benefits. Don't apologize for that. And when your hospitals were falling apart because they couldn't deal with the pandemic, we got their money. I don't apologize for that. So they are saying, Republicans, well, it's that $1,400 that Biden Sanders got you. That's the cause of inflation. And that is total crap. Because then they're going to have to explain why in the United Kingdom today, inflation is 10%. Bernie Sanders caused that? Joe Biden caused that? I don't think so. They're going to have to explain why inflation in Europe.
There's so many lies and misrepresentations in this video. Yes, inflation, where you're saying, and Sabby was the first. Sabby is saying another lie in here. So Nick, the reason inflation, where he mentioned, is at 10% is connected to us in the war. The reason they're paying higher prices in Europe right now is specifically because of the United States, Bernie. So the inflation that we're impacting inflation over there, like Nick, he is getting worse and worse, man. He is getting worse and worse with this fucking rhetoric, like trying to get these people elected. This is just terrible. Let's listen to the rest. He says, like a few seconds left.
Europe is at 11%, higher than the United States. So the point is, inflation is by and large a global crisis, and this is what
is capitalism global, Bernie?
It's caused by. It is caused by the pandemic, which has resulted in a break in supply chains. Companies can't get the products they need when they need it. It has been caused by this horrific, terrible, terrible war in the Ukraine. Russia invaded Ukraine, causing chaos. And those are two of the
How was the chaos caused, Bernie?
The third reason that we don't talk about, and Republicans will never talk about it, and that is the incredible amount of corporate greed.
So what I don't like about this is that it's laced with a bunch of half stories, half truths. Like, you're talking about the inflation, for example, around the world without talking about how capitalism contributed to that, and specifically the United States and all of our wars. Like that has to be included. And then you talk about $1,400 checks, and I think Sabby mentioned this when they're supposed to be $2,000 checks. You don't mention that. Like, they're just a bunch of things he's clucking and not explaining the whole thing.
There are a lot of half truths there too, because he said the inflation is caused because the war in Ukraine. Because why, Bernie? You guys are missing the cause and effect. You guys are talking about the effect. The economy and inflation messed up because of the sanctions that you voted for, Bernie.
Right. Because
you were for taking the global economy, because you guys couldn't allow Putin to handle his own regional conflict. So what he's saying, like, a lot of things what he's saying is true, but a lot of people won't know they hit him with half lie or half truths and lies like that. And so he will say that inflation is caused because of the war in Ukraine, which is true, but what he's not telling the audience, what they may not know, is that he's the fucking cause of it because he voted for the sanctions. And the U.S. responds to that. So, by the way, if China, Russia, and the global economy decided to destroy the global economy because of anything the United States have done, you can blame them as well. It's the same concept. Like, they decided not to do that because they're like, man, I don't think we should punish the global working class. I don't think we should destroy the economy to rein these motherfuckers in. And that is what Bernie is not telling these people, that this is a conscious decision made by the ruling class. Made by the ruling class. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, I think we can bring it to close. Just wanted to do a couple of quick items. I'm gonna clip this Bernie cluck, so I know it may be only like 5 or 6 minutes, but I think it'll probably blow up.
Good short segment.
Yeah, it's a good, very short. But we've come to the end. Nick, what's what's happening with you? I know you said you may have, or we may have Fiorella tomorrow or Tuesday. What else is happening? Any last thoughts on any of the topics? Any last comments before we get out of here?
I'm gonna have there's a few guests I'm working on. We have Fiorella on Sunday and Tuesday. I'm working with something with Black Power Media. There's a prisoner. I want to make sure I pull his name up because I don't want to get it wrong. Here's this guy in Missouri is about to be executed. So I'm gonna try and do a stream to help justice for Maurice. This guy here, I'm pulling the website. So he's probably to join next week to raise more awareness for the people who are victims of our criminal justice system. And big shout out to Two Black who brought this to my attention. So I'm trying to organize, get him on sometime next week. Fiorello is going to join us. I'm trying to book Danny Haifong as well. Schedules, all that stuff. So a lot of great guests coming up.
And I think you said Margaret Kimberly too.
Yeah, these are all things we're working on.
Yeah.
And there are a few people that I was going to get on the Activist Summit that we couldn't schedule stuff, but I'm gonna bring them on afterwards. So a lot of great guests coming up. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, and share with a friend. Even if they're not a leftist, if they're a liberal conservative, I promise you we can. We got a lot of people from different perspectives that watch the show. So share with a friend, and we can drag them to our position. I promise you. So CJ, any last thoughts? I got to head out.
Yeah, I'm gonna be probably coming at sometime tomorrow, Nick. So maybe if I would make sure we don't cross each other, but if you're available, we'll talk and see what happens tomorrow. But I'm gonna play a outro video, Nick. So if you want to take off, that's fine. See you later. And also, I wanted to show this just because I was gonna show it. This is Rob Reiner, and he quite possibly could be the worst shitlib. Rob Reiner on the planet is Rob Reiner, and we're just gonna quickly read a couple of his tweets to prove the point that I'm making here. So Rob Reiner, here's the first one. Donald Trump has been spreading the big lie for 2 years, the violent assault on Paul Pelosi and the attempt to murder Speaker Pelosi is directly related to that lie. That's a big conclusion jump by Rob Reiner, but he's a shitlib, so who cares if it's true or not? Donald Trump is 100% responsible for this and January 6th. He must be indicted and never be allowed to hold office. Shitlib Rob Reiner. Let's read another one. There's literally one after another. For those who are fighting to preserve our constitutional democracy, now is not the time to leave Twitter. Now is the time to vote blue. Like I said, Rob Reiner is the worst, quite possibly the worst shitlib there is in existence. Rumor has it that one psychopathic, pathological, lying, criminal, racist, misogynist, fascist is returning to the platform. That's wrong, Rob. That person's already there, and it's called Joe Biden. But let's continue with the tweet. He also says, let's celebrate by drowning him in a blue wave. Is that violence? Here's them tying Roe v. Wade to voting. This Rovember or abortion access is on the ballot. It is not. Use the 2022 Vote Choice Voter Guide to find your vote pro-choice candidate all the way down to most local races. Shitlib. And this will be the last one. In the last 2 weeks, Americans will choose. Do we want to continue being a constitutional democracy? We're not that now. Or be taken by fascism. There's only one way to preserve our 246-year experiment in self-rule. Vote blue. And I swear he is the biggest shitlib. So if you have any nominations for a worse shitlib than Rob Reiner, let us know. Put those in the comments. On your way out, I would like you to do a few things. One is make sure you subscribe to us today. We're trying to get to 30,000. We're at 700 likes. Thank you. I don't need to ask for any more of those. So 700 likes we're at. And then last but not least, make sure you join our mailing list. So if you want to watch this stream live, if you want to be able to watch this stream live, if you're watching it on replay right now, or you caught it live too late and you wish you did catch it earlier, you can join our Substack. And that's there right there at the bottom there. Join our Substack. And that's where we, how we send notifications to people on our mailing list. And we generally send out notifications anywhere from, I would say 30 minutes to, it could be as less as 30 minutes, but today, for example, was 90 minutes. Yesterday was 2 hours. So you get ample time to join us live. That way you can comment and everything. All right. So I'm going to leave you with the Black Panther outro video. These are the 10 tenets by the Black Panther Party. So let's play that. Have a great rest of your weekend. I will be back sometime tomorrow. If you join our Substack, you'll find out what time. I don't know what time yet, but if you join our Substack, I'll send out those notifications. And here is the Black Panther 10 points.
The 10-point program. Number one, we want freedom. We want the power to control the destiny of our black community. Number two, we want full employment for our people. Number three, we want an end to the robbery by the white man of our black community. Number four,
most white Americans saw only their guns and heard only their violent rhetoric. But black militant groups like the Black Panthers were the demanding voice of a younger generation that had given up on Martin Luther King's nonviolent tactics. Their implied threats of violence and their radical political agenda made them extremely frightening to mainstream America.
Number nine, we want all black people who are brought to court to be tried by a jury of their peers or people from their black communities as defined in the Constitution. Number 10, we want land, justice, housing, education, clothing, and peace. And as a major political objective, a United Nations supervised plebiscite to be held throughout the black colonies of America, in which only black people will participate to decide or determine the will of black people as to their national destiny. Right on, brother. Right on. Right on.
Our parents were very negative about the Black Panthers. And so whenever you mentioned it in my house, my mother would go loopy. But once I started to talk with a lot of people and people who were affiliated with the Black Panther Party, I decided that they had a good program and that I really started looking inwardly at myself and who I was and where I was going and what I wanted to do and what I wanted my children to be or how they would grow. And would they grow with this inferiority complex that the white society had pushed on us so long? And I decided that I wanted to go the route of the Black Panther.
Congratulations, you're now registered to vote in the Alameda County of California.
As the Panthers organized voter registration drives, health centers, and food distribution programs, they won growing support in black communities nationwide.
You're saying that the only protection for black people is that they unite. So that when one black man is touched because he's black, there's some protection for him. Now, it's obvious that that protection does not exist in this country. It does not now exist. And the only people who can have that protection are black people. And black people know that. Now, white people may not know that. So it means that you have to build a movement so strong in this country that if one black man is touched, every black man will rise up and let this country know they're not going to tolerate it.
If one black man is touched.
That's right, because he's black. I mean, if a black man is walking down the streets of Mississippi, down a highway with a Bible in his hand, he is shot because he is black.
That's one incident.
I can name you a lot of others, and you know that yourself.
In the northern ghettos,
if one black man in California is driving his pregnant wife to the hospital and he is shot by a white racist policeman, I can name you more incidents.
then you're saying fight violence with violence.
I am saying that we must build a movement of black people that will protect ourselves so that we are willing to stop that by any means necessary. Now, I'm not concerned about the question of violence. It seems to me that that will depend upon how, in fact, white people respond. If white people, in fact, are willing not to bother with black people because they are black, then there's going to be no question of violence.
When you read stories about difficulties, riots in Omaha or Cleveland or Brooklyn or Chicago or wherever,
I call them rebellions.
they're rebellions. And you see nothing wrong with them?
I think that it is people who are rebelling against a system that has locked them inside tight of ghettos, that exploits and oppress them, and they have no means of redress to break that system down. We intend to build within black people the realization that that problem is not theirs. It's created by white society. It's purposely created by white society, and then they throw it back on us and blame us. That's the first thing we have to create in black people.